Welcome to the Backlash, a weekly discussion about the past, present, and future of the Western world. I'm your host, Rebecca Hargraves. This is Dave Riley. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am great. Vince has had the week of weeks. We'll talk about that in a minute. Say hi, Vince.
Hey, how's it going? Hello, everyone.
Joined, as always, by Cameron McGregor. Good to see you, Cam.
Good to see you guys. It's cold and miserable on the East Coast. I'm ready to move.
It is very cold here, too. It's 5 degrees outside. Yeah.
It was like -4 last night.
Yeah,
it was
scary cold.
brutal.
Scary cold.
Had to keep the faucets on overnight, you know?
Same.
Did
I
you
learned
really?
that the hard
No.
way.
Oh,
I did. I learned that the hard way last year.
to keep the faucets on?
Yeah, my shit froze.
Oh, man.
And luckily, I was able to get it to unfreeze before it exploded.
Last year was uncharacteristically cold. I'm
Yeah.
sure that everybody is tuned in for a detailed description of North Idaho winter weather, which is abysmal.
Well, it keeps out the riffraff, doesn't it?
What do you mean by riffraff? You know, Minneapolis is
Blacks.
filled. Yeah, I know that's what he means. Minneapolis is filled with Somalis. Like, I think that they can hang in the cold
Yeah,
as
they
long as
can.
they're getting
It's
welfare
true.
benefits, you know?
Yeah, I guess
Same with
so.
Chicago and all that.
Yeah. Well,
Chicago's nice.
thank you for joining us tonight. We interviewed the infamous Alexander Dugin, and we are going to play that in a little bit after we talk about South Africa, because Vince this week was retweeted by the Elon Musk.
The Elon Musk.
Right. I mean, I hate to be blackpilled. I know this is making everybody mad, but I'm sick of Trump doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. It bothers me. I'm like, do the right thing for, I don't know, your immortal soul, or because you have a sense of morality, or any other reason than pressure from Israel. So how about that?
Wait, what do you mean?
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
We're going to get into it.
We're gonna get
We're
into
going to
it.
get it.
Well, here, we've got we do have a little bit of a, what is this called? A promo video? A little
Yeah, let's
teaser?
play
A
it.
little taste?
I don't want to see my face this
little,
big
little
ever
taste.
again. Ah.
So
I made it, so everyone let me know.
Let's see here. We'll give this a quick
Why
watch.
do you think that you're viewed as such a dangerous man?
Is there an understanding in Russia of the extent to which the United States is beholden to Zionism?
I have observed
From the news that I see about it's illegal in Russia to show gay couples, most Russian citizens are against gay marriage. Are these things true? Is it like that in Russia?
so I think that
Is there a Jewish lobby in Russia the way that we have AIPAC here in America?
there was a liberal lobby composed mostly by Jews. They were
People accuse you of being a Satanist. You held a moment of silence for Aleister Crowley. Can you explain? And
so I was traditional.
there you go.
You really
Yeah,
didn't
we
give
are
him much.
here.
Good job.
Well, you got to tease it. You got to tease
You gotta
it.
do the
He called
teaser.
me deep. He said I was deep.
A deep thinker.
He
That's
said I was a deep thinker.
somewhat shocking.
I know. I try to intentionally not be because I find deep
His
thinkers boring.
his interpersonal skills are lacking. That's pretty clear.
Who, Vince? Yeah.
No, Dugin.
Jeez. Let's start it off by nagging the guy that we just
I know.
who
Thanks
scored
for
an
doing
interview
all
with, you know.
all that, by the way.
We like Dugin.
No, he's okay.
We have clipped out about 30 minutes of that interview for the show in a bit. If you would like to watch the whole thing, I think we did an hour and a half with him.
About an hour and 30 minutes.
We're gonna put that behind a paywall because we need you guys to get over to Subscribestar or Patreon. Check us out on Subscribestar. Let's see, can we pull that up?
I was going to pull up our website, thebacklash.net. You can go here in the corner. It says support the show, right? And then you can go to pop-ups. And even the websites I design have pop-ups. Jeez. You can go to like our Subscribestar.
Subscribestar.com/thebacklash. We have that exclusive full interview with Mr. Dugin right there.
And you'll be able to watch it for a nominal fee that helps us produce this show and bring you the best content that we possibly can.
And if you're using Patreon, we have done the same on Patreon. If you do not want to be a monthly member on Patreon, you can buy the entire interview for $8. That's
Amazing.
what I decided on.
That's a good
$8.
price.
That seems fair.
I think
That's good.
$5 would be better, but whatever.
He's still mad. Anyway, so Trump has finally addressed the South Africa problem. Now, when I heard that Elon Musk had retweeted you, Vince, I was like, well, what's it going to be? I was not prepared for him to have retweeted something that we've all been talking about for 10 years.
Long time.
Let's talk about this. What was your week like? What was
It was crazy. So one of my friends, Shuttershot45, many of you old heads might know him, might remember him. He did some of the famous footage that you saw at the Deplorable. Remember Lauren Southern saying that she was a man? He filmed that clip.
Is that when she got pee thrown on her?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think it was.
No, that was at the March Against Sharia. I was there. And it was so funny because all these kids were like going off to White Knight for her. And I'm like, she's here on purpose, on her own. She knows what she's getting into.
Yeah.
We're having bratwurst. It'll be here in like 3 minutes. Please, sit down.
Yeah, so
Bratwurst.
he filmed a lot of the famous Battle of the Berkeley footage. He filmed a lot of the famous Trump supporters getting beat up at all these rallies. He went all over the country. He had a huge YouTube channel. He still does. He doesn't do much political content, but he texted me. He was like, yo, and this is because he tweeted this out. Elon retweeted me at 5 a.m. So I was still sleeping, and I jumped out of bed just to see, and I was expecting the tweet to be deleted. I was expecting it to be deleted because I was expecting for Elon to get the call and say, you retweeted this dangerous man or whatever. But he didn't, and it's still not deleted. And I think it got something like 30 million, 40 million impressions or something like that.
Do you have? Did you get a screenshot of it? I'm looking for a screenshot of the little.
Well, I think
showing.
You put the link in our Backlash Telegram chat. You can probably search the Telegram chat for that. But yeah, so it was pretty crazy. A lot of weird attacks. A lot of weird text messages. Just had to block 50 people on my phone. Yeah, I don't even know how it happened, but. Weird Telegram messages, weird DMs, weird attacks, but a lot of praise, a lot of people talking about it. So it's very good. But yeah, so the South Africa thing, he retweeted this. Here's the clip.
It's still up. It's still there.
So what happened was, and I was talking about this on my show, I noticed a lot of people talking about South Africa, a lot of people tweeting out a lot of clips of this guy here, Julius Malema, saying things. And I'm like, whoa, what about the best clip? What about this clip where he's talking about cutting the throat of whiteness? So I went back to one of my shows from 8 years ago to try to clip this out because I noticed on Twitter there was a vacuum. No one was tweeting this clip. You couldn't find this clip anywhere. So I tweeted it out. I made sure that I used... for some reason, all of the clips that Elon retweeted of Julius Malema had 2 words in it. They had Trump and they had media. So I made sure that I put Trump and media in that clip. I made sure I shortened the clip down quite a bit and then got the Elon retweet.
Wow. So that was your that was your intent.
I tweet with intent. I just don't tweet willy-nilly. I honestly, I don't even tweet that much. There are days where I'll send out 3 or 4 tweets. But I usually try to think about what I'm going to tweet. So I looked on Twitter before I had the idea of tweeting out the clip, and I looked on Twitter to make sure it wasn't there yet, to make sure there wasn't any saturation.
That's the opposite of what I do on Twitter.
Yeah.
Did Elon, do you think, Vince, and forgive my ignorance, I'm asking on behalf of the older folks on the show, including myself, did he save this tweet of yours and decide at this time to send it out? Or, was this pre-planned or random?
No, this was me planning this out. I wasn't trying to fish for an Elon tweet. I've been trying to fish for Elon tweets.
No, you did.
Yeah.
But what about Elon? Why did he retweet it?
He was
How did
tweeting
he
about
find it?
South
How did he have
Africa
access
all
to
day.
it? That's my question.
He was tweeting about South Africa. He was tweeting a bunch of clips about of Julius Malema, and no one was tweeting this clip, and a bunch of other clips that I tweeted on top of this. So
in other words, he found it randomly, is what you're saying?
No, because he put Trump and media in the clip because he knew that's what Elon was. His notifications were up for that.
I don't know what was going on with his algorithm, but I also did. Well, I guess I kind of did try to get the Elon retweet here, but because I quote tweeted. If you click on that tweet, Dave, you click on my tweet. I quote tweeted garbage human. Big shout out to that guy, by the way.
Nice.
Because I know that Elon has quote tweeted him in the past. So it's like there's one of these meme accounts, that are huge accounts. I think he has hundreds of thousands of followers or something. but he tweeted out that Julius Malema meme where he said, "Anti-Semitism is hatred, prejudice, or hostility towards Jews. Some of our biggest financial donors are Jewish, and we love them." It's from Julius Malema, who, so yeah. I mean, this is like big because like we've been talking about this for a long time. Like I've interviewed farmers on my show. I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
And then Lauren Southern released Farmlands Win. That was 2017?
That was 2017, yeah. I remember there was that Afrikaner guy that was actually at Charlottesville. Remember he had like media written on his helmet. I forget his name. He was with a group called the Zoidlanders or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I interviewed someone from that group as well on my show.
He's a good guy.
Actually, cut back to that real quick. Go back, hit the back button on that tweet. So go ahead and
let's play the clip.
Play the clip.
Yeah.
Let's play the clip. Hold on. We've already got it.
It
up.
actually includes me.
Restart it from the beginning.
I'm in the clip.
All right, here we go.
Which is crazy that he retweeted that.
All right, let's see.
The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness. It can't.
There's also another politician.
Whoa,
He's
that's
part
loud.
of. He's the president of the Black First Land First political party, the BLF. And he spoke at a rally a couple of years back in which he urged the crowd to kill white people, their children, and their pets. I'm going to see if we can expand this here and play this clip for you guys. Take a look at this clip here.
For each one person that is being killed by the taxi industry, will give 5 white people. For every one black person you kill, will give 5 white people. You kill one of us, we'll kill 5 of you. You kill one of us, we'll kill 5 of you. You kill one of us, kill 5 of you. You kill one of us, we'll kill 5 white people. We'll kill the children, we'll kill the women, we'll kill anything that we find on our way.
Yeah, that's it.
So there you go. That's a political
Who are these
party.
chicks in the back? They're like, woo!
These are like major political parties in South Africa. Julius Malema being one of the most famous, and this is it. I mean, this is the state of basically what's going on in South Africa, what has been going on in South Africa for a long time. I mean, they are open about taking the land back and redistributing it to black people there. This has been going on for a while. I'm glad it's out in the open. I'm glad they're finally talking about. Trump actually said, look into the history of this, right? You go back through the history of like how this all sort of came about, and Trump actually tweeted that he was going to have Mike Pompeo look into the South Africa situation back in 2018, I think it was.
Yeah.
He tweeted this because I guess the timeline is sort of like Michael Savage. You guys know who Michael Savage is, right?
Oh, yeah. He
I think we
have
radicalized
this-
me.
I
used
think
to
we have
listen to him
this
every
tweet.
day.
Every day?
I used to listen to Michael Savage every day. And he talked about this. He said that, we should bring them here as refugees. And yeah, there it is. It's one of the
It's after clip 3.
Okay.
one of the links there. Let's see if we can bring this up.
Yep.
Sorry, I
I'm
should
on
have
there.
brought
This
this
one?
up
Yep.
myself. Yeah, that one there. So Michael Savage tweeted this. He said, blacks kicking whites off their farms in South Africa. Should U.S. offer asylum to these productive farmers? And then click the next image. And then he said, Savage will try to establish a resettlement program fund, blah, 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 blah. So then Tucker talked about it because Michael Savage talked about it. And if you go to the next tweet in that thread, Trump tweeted out that he was going to have Mike Pompeo look into the situation. And nothing ever happened. Of course, Mike Pompeo is not going to look into the situation. But now, apparently, we have an executive order that's going to grant priority refugee status to a lot of these Boers, these white farmers. But as Dave tweeted fairly recently, they don't want to leave.
They don't. The Iranians have had a spokesperson come out and say that they're not interested in this. They don't want to have refugee status. They don't want to be refugees. Now,
They want their home.
they want their home.
Same as the Palestinians,
Yes.
actually. Same as the Palestinians. It is interesting. Maybe this is like a little bit off topic. Maybe it's not. But there are some like really interesting and I haven't read, I haven't done the reading. I didn't read the outline, so I don't know if I'm spilling the beans. But, you know, there are some really interesting things that are kind of like intersecting in South Africa, right? Like South Africa, the apartheid state was formed in 1948, the same time that the state of Israel was formed.
Interesting.
1948. Israel provided the South African apartheid regime with weapons, guns, training, assistance from secret intelligence services, Mossad, Shin Bet, whatever. And so as all that was going on, you know, you also have, you know, I hate to say it because I got some checks in the mail today or this week from Elon Musk. But Elon Musk's parents were, his grandparents were supporters of the apartheid regime. They were members of like the Nazi Party in Canada before they moved to South Africa.
Based.
And then, of course, you know, you've also got this like really interesting intersection in like, isn't David Sachs also from South Africa? Aren't a lot of these PayPal guys from South Africa?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky when you start looking into the PayPal mafia and who the people that Elon associates with and who the major oligarchs in this country are associated with Peter Thiel and Palantir. A lot of them have roots back in South Africa.
That's strange. I know
It's
Peter Thiel.
extremely strange.
Peter Thiel is best friends with Alex Karp. I know that much. He was roommates with him in college. Yeah. Alex Karp is the CEO of Palantir. He's this Jewish guy.
The one that bragged about crushing the right in Europe.
Yeah, he said, we created software that single-handedly stopped the far-right rise in Europe. He also said, there's this New York Times interview where he said that everything that he does at Palantir is based on his identity as a Jewish man. And he said that the first group that's going to come after him as a Jew is not the left, it's the right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what he said.
Here, we've got David Sachs, South African-American entrepreneur. So that's interesting that there's this nexus of oligarchs that now are in power in our government that came from the apartheid government of South Africa. And I'm not saying that apartheid was wrong, maybe a little bit.
What? No.
But, you know, it's weird. It's like we've been taken over by like South African Nazis that are pro-Israel. It's like really weird. I don't know what's going on.
No, the Palantir stuff is certainly concerning. Like,
yes,
because like if you look into what Palantir did during COVID, they went public during COVID. First of all, big red flag.
Right.
Also, they said that they were involved in the creation of the vaccines, their software, their Gotham software.
That's right.
They created this thing, this offshoot, this other thing called Tiberius, also interesting name, where they use this software to collect the health data of basically every single American citizen.
Right, I remember this.
Yeah.
Okay.
During COVID. And these are the people that are involved in loosely tied to, you know, like Elon Musk, which is super, super concerning.
Yeah, so here's Grok's answer for this. Elon Musk was born in South Africa. David Sachs was born in Cape Town. Peter Thiel, although born in Germany, spent part of his childhood in South Africa, especially Johannesburg.
Bro, I didn't even know that.
Roelof Botha, who's the CFO of PayPal, is the grandson of Pik Botha, the last foreign minister of apartheid South Africa, including a strong South African connection. So it's kind of strange. It's almost like there was like a mafia from South Africa that kind of uprooted at the end of apartheid and came to America and took our shit over.
It's just foreign and domestic corporate vultures just picking apart our country bit by bit. This is what it's been for decades.
Yeah. But of course, we're talking about it now, and it doesn't seem to make sense. It would have made more sense to talk about this 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. I don't know, like the attacks which are real on the white farmers, the Boers.
Right, right.
And am I jumping the gun?
No, that was great.
Is it because South Africa sued Israel in the ICC for the crime of genocide? Is this finally like coming to light as a way to punish the communist government run by Malema, who sued Israel?
Yes, of course that's why they're doing it
so.
right now. You don't think so?
No, why would they? Why wouldn't they just say it's because of that?
Why
even
would
make
they
any
do that?
sense.
Because it's such a bad look. And they had an opportunity because this land expropriation law was passed recently. So Trump had an opportunity to do something that has been angering white conservatives for a decade. He's able to do it under the pretense of a humanitarian act, but really it's punitive. The foreign aid, especially that he's withholding, is punitive because of their alliance with Israel.
But but why don't they just say it's because of their not alliance with Israel? Yeah, but they're whatever.
Well, I mean, it's like the same
why
thing.
wouldn't they just they do that for every other country that does this to Israel? They just openly outright say we're going to sanction you because of what you're doing to Israel.
That's what they said about. That's what Jonathan Pollard was explicitly saying about Ireland. He was calling for Israel to close Ireland's embassy in Israel, and saying like we got to get rid of these guys. They don't like us, whatever.
We have like 30 states now. Like another
36.
state just signed on. Yeah, it was 25 last time I checked. Now it's 36 states that have these like anti-boycott laws.
Yes.
Like if you boycott, so in certain states, is Idaho one?
Oh, Idaho has the worst law on the books in the union.
So yeah,
Vince,
it's
the worst.
If you're a government, like if you have contracts with the government and you boycott Israel or Israeli products, your contracts with the government will be removed based on these anti-BDS laws.
Right.
And they openly say that that's the reason why they're passing the laws.
Yes.
So I think it's coming up now just because Elon spends all day on Twitter and started tweeting.
No, but Elon, it is his homeland. He obviously has been
cares.
kept abreast of what has been going on for the last
cares.
decade. There is no reason for this to come about right now. There is no way this is a coincidence. Cameron, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I could see both sides. I could see both sides. I tend not to play in the palace intrigue because, frankly, I don't know. Musk is a suspect character. I definitely respect his intelligence. One thing I'll say as an aside, South Africa has a history of very high IQ, capable people. The talent pool in that country is immense. I mean, the CT scan was invented in South Africa. The first heart transplant happened in South Africa. For those of you who haven't seen pictures of what South Africa looked like before the end of apartheid, it was an incredible country. It was the breadbasket of Africa. I mean, they fed the world in many ways. Today, I think they're a net importer. So I don't know that there's more to it than that. But I guess, Rebecca, I would lean in your direction, if for no other reason, then why now? And Musk does seem to be rather colored by his relationship with Israel. That raises real red flags. And I guess if we look at it in context, virtually everything we've learned about the Trump administration in the first month is that whatever they do, they're going to prioritize making Israel great again, as Dave says. So I guess I would shade in your direction, Rebecca, but honestly, I just don't know.
Can I just say something real quick? So Elon Musk tweeted out dozens of videos
all about South Africa.
But like Julius Malema videos saying we're going to kill like Whitey. He retweeted me. You know that there are millions of people that don't even know that that's been happening in South Africa. So why would they wake up millions of white people and make them more racially conscious just to hurt Israel? Also, I think my theory is that I just think that, like, if you look, it's more palatable now. So here, cut to my screen real quick. Let me just show you something. So back when Trump first did this in 2018, this is how people were reacting. They were saying that Trump was like spreading racist conspiracy theories. Trump deleted the first version because he tagged the wrong Pompeo, not because of the racism. Keep your white supremacist ideology within your borders, hands off South Africa. Like, this is how people were reacting. In fact, the media came out hard against them for even suggesting that white people were being attacked or being persecuted at all. There was this one clip that I put in this thread. It's only 40 seconds here. And this is the media going after his first press secretary. I don't know if you guys remember her. He's been through so many press secretaries.
Who, Hope Hicks?
No, it was Nielsen.
There was somebody before Hope Hicks.
Was it
I don't
Nielsen?
know.
Anyway, so here's what the media said. Let's play this clip real quick.
In fact, when it talks about discrimination, it says most of it is directed at blacks. And the incidents of racism that it points out are all directed at blacks as well. So does the Secretary actually intend to look into this?
Well, I can tell you that the Secretary and the President certainly discussed it. The President asked the Secretary to look closely at the current state of action in South Africa.
Discrimination and actions against blacks in South Africa is a far, far bigger problem than this. What is the Secretary's view on what is happening right now? And
Now, they even mentioned...
So that's what the media, they were saying that the discrimination was more against blacks in South Africa. How dare you? This is like a white supremacist belief. And so they backed off.
Isn't that evidence that the timing here is even more suspicious?
They say that people are attacking Israel all the time, and so they sanction them. So I don't think that they would.
He has come under scrutiny recently, though, Trump.
Go ahead.
Where's the there? I mean, I understand that Twitter's important. I could give a shit less, to be frank with you. Who cares? How does it move the needle? Where are his investments in the country? Look, Black Economic Empowerment, BEE, has devastated South Africa. They have an energy crisis. They have routine power outages. The rule of law has broken down in South Africa. Basically, if you want security, you have to contract private security to protect you. Elon Musk has a lot of money. He has investment vehicles that he could use to change the political landscape in South Africa. Tweeting about it, who cares? How does that change anything? I'm sorry. Where's the there?
I agree. I've totally forgot about BEE. Mm-hmm. Most people don't even know.
I don't know about BEE.
Basically, it's DEI on steroids.
Oh,
essentially, you're not going to get hired if you're white. Like
yeah,
it's like whites need not apply. That's essentially what's going on in South Africa.
Unreal. Well, I mean, they're doing reverse apartheid.
But it's worse than that, because you have to remember that BEE is especially focused on the government itself. So you're talking about, again, the energy sector. You're talking about the police forces, the military, and I think it's something like 90% of everybody hired. Don't quote me on that. You can look up the precise number, Dave. Has to be a non-African or white. Okay, and as a result of that, you have very highly talented, high IQ people that are basically unemployed, living in these squatter camps while the whole country goes into meltdown. So again, I'm not trying to be too hard here on Elon Musk, but I mean, my God, man, the whole country's been falling apart for years. What the hell are you doing about it? What is a template to do something about it? Well, we know what that looks like. It's an open society program like George Soros has set up all over the world, and especially in Europe. And we know the amount of damage that's been done to the West because of a Soros-like investment portfolio. Why can't Musk do something similar? Right. He hasn't done anything as far as I know.
Agree. Totally agree. Where is our right-wing Soros at?
Right.
Well, I was promised it was Elon. You know,
yeah,
I was promised that
it's not.
Yeah, it's not. Surprise. Now, but I mean, so
he should do that.
One of the other reasons why I think that it's actually because of Israel that we're talking about this now is, like, you know, we've been in the process the past 2 weeks of basically dismantling American soft power, getting rid of USAID, what is it called? The Agency for International Development. That's just been torn out like duct tape on a mouth or something, right? There was no deliberation. It was just they went in, they started shutting it down. They laid off, 12,000 people or 10,000 people in like a day. And I think the reason why they did that is not because our soft power organs have been absolutely corrupt and out of control for 70 years, which they have been. But I think it's because of things like this, where you have all of these articles coming out about how USAID sent $50 million of condoms to Gaza that they used to inflate, like, helium balloons.
That can't be real.
And then they put bombs on it and sent the bombs into Israel using helium balloon condoms.
BS.
No, this was the argument. People were running around saying that this happened. And, like, here's CNN is fact checking it, that is not in fact true. But the point is that the narrative was there. The narrative was there that USAID was funding and aiding and abetting Hamas. And so we need to cut down at USAID. And the administration just goes, okay, absolutely, we're going to completely shift direction, switch what we're doing at the drop of a hat and lay off 10,000 people, cut billions of dollars of funding. Why? Because it's the right thing to do, because it's time, because the American people demanded this? No, it's because someone in Israel was pissed that USAID food boxes were showing up in like Palestinian refugee camps.
So
that's my theory.
No, I totally agree. So everybody is like, take the win, take the win. I'm like, listen, I'm happy that people are talking about South Africa. I am happy. I'm happy that
I'm happy people are talking about USAID.
Yes,
I'm happy
about
people
these
are
things.
talking about getting red pilled on race right now by Elon Musk.
Yes, I understand this, but I want these things to be done for the right reasons. Otherwise, we will pay for it later. We are going to pay for it later. The motivations have to be there. So I don't know. I suppose these are wins, but I don't feel particularly good about them.
They're wins.
Elon Musk strikes me as a very infantile kind of person. As CEO of Tesla, he is known for white lies all the time. He exaggerates production thresholds, how new technology is going to roll off the assembly line. He's infamous for exaggerating, let's put it like that, the results of his company's output. And he seems a lot more concerned, I would say, like Donald Trump, with saying sensational things as opposed to the actual substance. I mean, he put out a tweet, I want to say today or yesterday, that somebody sent me regarding Doge, is how Doge is going to bring down mortgage rates. It's going to bring down credit card rates. That is absurd. That is self-evidently false. That is a ridiculous statement. Why is he saying it? Well, it seems like he likes to stir the pot, just like Donald Trump. But where is the there? Again, is the border closed? Where's the border wall? Where's the Insurrection Act? You know, these are the details that I always ask, and it falls flat almost every time. Maybe Musk has something else under his sleeve, but it seems like there's a pattern of behavior from this man who really likes to sort of tweet out and control the narrative rather than actually do something of substance.
Right. And he's a highly motivated person, and he gets single-minded when he has a goal, and he goes to these extreme levels that are probably unprecedented in human history to achieve his goals. So if he had a plan for how to deal with South Africa, which is, you know, it's not less achievable than the things that he's done in technology, he would already be rolling that out. Him tweeting about it, Cameron is exactly right, is nothing. It's nothing.
You want to talk about infantile? Take a look at, let's see if I can pull this up. Elon Musk changes his X name to Harry Balls.
This is the kind of stuff
and he's tweeting out CNN clips. I don't know if you saw him tweet out that CNN clip where he basically forced them to say Harry Balls on air. I guess, okay, listen, kind of funny, but yes, funny. Infantile.
But it's infantile, it's juvenile. Like, we've got a country on the teetering on the edge of collapse. And, you know, here, do you want me to?
Yeah,
I don't think the man understands that, just like Donald Trump, when he says these things, like, you know, Trump, who thinks he's going to turn Gaza into some kind of real estate project. I just don't think these people understand the gravity of the words that they express so haphazardly, given their position of power. It's one thing to sort of go, you know, pull a toilet out of its socket and walk out of Twitter headquarters and declare yourself a champion of efficiency. It's quite another to tweet things out about South Africa and pretend that you're doing something about it. I just find I want to see substance. I'll give Elon the benefit of the doubt, more so than Trump at this stage, but I want to see action. I don't want to hear. I don't want to see tweets about this.
Yeah, we've got tweets from Elon going back 24, 23 with Julius Malema clips. They just didn't take
Here, go ahead.
as hard as, well, I'm not going to play the clip, but I'm just saying, like, if you look at February 2024, they just didn't take as hard as they did this time because of the executive order. But also, like, there's a lot of executive orders that are getting signed now that Trump promised he was going to sign last time around, but never did. Mm-hmm. So he's actually, like, doing some of these executive orders that he said he was going to do last time. Obviously, and I talked about this on my show as well, like, a lot of this stuff is going to be able to be undone with the next Democrat president that comes in because they're executive orders. So the goal has to be
to gut these institutions so severely that it's going to take decades to be able to restore to their original state.
Right.
Like,
And multiple subsequent administrations will have to work together.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you like the Department of Education, like you can't abolish it without an act of Congress, but you can just totally damage it to where they're not going to be able to restore it. Same thing with the refugee resettlement offices. Like they closed under Trump last time around because they didn't have anyone to resettle, but then they were able to reopen immediately as soon as Biden came into office. So you just have to like destroy that, destroy the FBI, destroy the CIA, destroy the Department of Education, destroy USAID and all this stuff that they're going. Like you have to totally damage it beyond repair to where it'll take multiple administrations, like you said, to be able to restore it to its original state.
But it's not just that. I do want to say and put it out there that like I'm not, and I don't think any of us are or should be opposed to soft power. At all.
No, yeah.
Like, I mean, we should not only, if we're going to be dismantling these institutions, which are corrupt, which have been taking our money, which are causing a lot of these problems, like, you know, instead of helping the South Africans, right? Didn't they like try to export gay butt sex to them, right? But we need to build a right-wing version of USAID. We need to be seeing the birth of new organizations that have America First at its core, that will fund media, because that's how this works. We need that. We need to be able to go into these countries and project what we want. I just don't think that it should be as blatantly evil as what we've been doing, like promoting transgenderism.
Right.
Which has been done, by the way, by both parties. This is not just a Democrat problem. This is, you know, obviously, like, you know, I was watching the Mike Benz interview with Tucker Carlson, and it's like, you know, if a Republican thought that promoting transgenderism like increases the percent that people will vote out the guy that stands against the United States, they'll promote transgenderism. It's cold. It's not about the ideology. It's just about getting people to go in and vote for the American puppet in their government.
It's the stone toss meme.
Yeah.
Where eventually you have a Republican that like is like a trans, like promoting trans, like it just goes step by step by step. So,
Cameron, how do we get this infrastructure in place before we go through and absolutely demolish all of these institutions?
You know, my sense is that Trump doesn't understand that he's sort of fighting a rear guard action. He needs to prioritize de-escalation of conflict in Ukraine, de-escalation of conflict in the Middle East, neither of which he's doing as far as I can tell, although it is good to know that at least Trump is talking to the Russians. That's a good thing. But that should be priority number one, de-escalating any conflict there. Then he can refocus his attention at home. But, you know, as we've observed from Donald Trump, he seems seemingly incapable of prioritizing or focusing on a particular agenda. He likes to sort of guns ablaze, fire in all directions. It seems like he's going to do the same thing again. That's the first thing he should do. The second thing he needs to do is he needs to look at the structure of entitlements. He needs to look at the retirement age. He needs to look at Medicare and Medicaid as benefits packages. Those are big problems. But if he can tackle those, then dealing with the USAIDs and intelligence issues and so forth, that can all be dealt with. But those are second and third derivative problems. The major problem is, number one, de-escalate overseas. Number two, start looking structurally at the budget to avert a fiscal catastrophe. And number three, build the goddamn wall, close the border, declare war on the cartels, and then you can start to sort of tackle these other domestic issues. I don't think we're going to see any of it. I think
really,
it's
you
going
don't
to be
think
a
he's even going
continuation.
to attempt to restructure entitlement programs?
Oh, I think I don't think he'll attempt. He's made that very clear that he will not touch the entitlements, which means that we're not taking seriously our fiscal situation. And this is more or less what Elon Musk said in his tweet, is that the Department of Government Efficiency can find fraud in Medicaid or Medicare's or other big programs like that and avert major structural changes. I don't think it's going to go that way, right? But again, this is how Donald Trump operates. Everything with him is some kind of a marketing campaign. That's how he operates. And I don't think it's going to work. So no, I do not think you're going to see substantive outcomes from this man.
But it can. But he can. Like he can't. Like you said, they can find it. The question is, will they find it? Like I just saw this tweet. I actually quote tweeted this tweet from Leading Report. They said, breaking House Republicans propose $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. It's like you don't need to try to pass a bill to get rid of $4.5 trillion. All you have to do is deport the 40 million illegals that are here in the country, and then you're going to save trillions of dollars in public education and welfare alone. You look at this USA Today article. I know I've showed this on the show before. More than half of immigrants are on welfare.
Good Lord.
More than half. And there was this video, this rage bait video that I tweeted out today. Let me just play this. It's only 30 seconds. We can get on to
This is rage bait.
This is total rage bait. This is going to piss off the taxpayers. Let's play this.
Go ahead.
Milk, bread.
By the third week of the month, Maritza Nelson's $240 in food stamps has run out, leaving her $9 in cash and 7 people to feed.
Zero on the food stamp and $4 in child support. That's what I got.
Yet the 50-year-old single mother who entered the U.S. by swimming across the Rio Grande has government-funded housing, medication, and $700 a month in Social Security. She's been on assistance for 20 years and wants others to know that help is available.
That's it. Oh, how the fuck did that fat bitch, excuse my language, swim across the Rio Grande? Obviously, it's not
She's
dangerous
50.
enough.
This was 20 years ago. She was 30.
Can we get some tactical alligators?
Yeah, we need some sort of something.
Come
Remember
on.
those razor blades that Greg Abbott put on the buoys?
Oh, yeah.
And then they made him take them down.
Yeah.
They were like saw blades or circular saw blades. Like we need that, but moving, like a Mario game, like when you're trying to find King Koopa in the last level.
Well, where's Anduril in this?
Yeah.
Like, why don't we get some like crazy AI powered, drones and just go like drone bomb these people?
Yeah, instead of bombing Palestinians.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, I would support that. I would support like bombing and murdering people trying to come into the country.
No, you wouldn't. But
No,
yeah,
I wouldn't.
I mean, we obviously need something like better than what's happening. Like Cam has always said, like insurrection. Like Trump doesn't understand how much power he has.
Yeah,
he doesn't understand how much power he has. Like he can totally destroy all of this. He can totally build the wall. He can totally do the insurrection.
No,
act.
he knows he can do these things.
Right. I mean, we have ICE facilities at 109% capacity right now. They're releasing people. That's literally the catch and release policy that Trump said he was never going to do. Like, anyway, but I know that we want to get onto the race stuff, but
there are some good things though that I mean, Cam, you brought up Ukraine. We did get some confirmation that from Hegseth, right? Secretary of Defense Hegseth stating in no uncertain terms that Ukraine will not be joining NATO and that we will not be deploying U.S. troops to Ukraine. And I think it's now that USAID is finally out of the way, which funded 80% of Ukraine's media, from what I understand.
But this is
and Politico.
This is too late. Though this is over. The Russia-Ukraine conflict is over.
That's what I'm saying is that it's over, and I think that the president and Secretary of Defense Hegseth are like looking at the numbers, and there's no way that Ukraine is going to win unless like 150,000 troops are deployed. Like either American or European troops. And I'm sorry, Germany, England, they're not going to do that. America's not going to do that.
But can our government do this in a timely manner? Just one, can they do one thing in a timely manner? We knew this about Russia and Ukraine.
For years. Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird. You guys were trying to connect the South Africa thing to Israel. I can there's a kind of a better connection to this Ukraine thing to Israel. The more that they weaken Russia, the more likely that Syria was going to break, and Syria broke. This whole thing. You're talking about how they're not going to win. Of course, they're not going to win. But what they're doing is they're funding this war to continue this war, and more people are dying. More white people are dying. Ukrainian, Russian, more people are dying. Period. And that's what they're doing, and that's what they have been doing. But yeah, this should be over. I opened my timeline today, and I saw all sorts of Ukrainians that I don't follow popping up on my timeline talking about, we must, the U.S. must help us and blah, 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 blah. It was so weird to see that all of a sudden again. It's like, how long has this been going on for?
Right. Yeah, here is the Israel and apartheid South Africa were the closest of friends. The mutually beneficial relationship between Israel and apartheid South Africa was not just about the arms trade. It was about an ideological affinity about how to treat unwanted populations. So that's the link, I think. And then, of course, these like apartheid refugees, i.e. Musk, David Sachs, Peter Thiel, that all came over here.
You can see, yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, it's what I said I was on RT today. Thank you. I'll pat myself on the back on that one.
It was a great interview.
I was on Crosstalk with Peter Lavelle, and I pointed out there that I'm not opposed to like I said USAID going, but like why? Why? Because we're going to get taken for a ride if we're not thinking. If we're just cheerleaders going, "Yay, good job, guys," and we're not asking these critical questions. Like I'm not here doing the show bashing on Elon Musk and Trump because I hate them. I'm doing it because I love them and I love America.
Ugh.
I do love America.
I think they're
what are you
doing good
talking
stuff.
about?
But you love Elon Musk, and Trump is such an asshole. Come on.
I think that they could do amazing things for this country. I wouldn't want to make like an enemy of him, but I'm also extremely skeptical about their motivations for doing these things.
We should be beyond skeptical. They clearly have sinister motivations, both of them. They cannot be trusted. I know that Elon feels like he's our buddy right now because he retweeted friend Vince.
Listen, I like Trump and Elon too.
Why?
Because I think that this wild, like them just throwing these wrenches into the gear system, like willy nilly, like he was saying, like they're just totally juvenile. Like Trump, like Elon's just like on Twitter all day long.
He really is constantly tweeting.
And I think that them just throwing these wrenches into the gear system all over the place. The media doesn't know what to get on. The media doesn't know what to counterattack. And I think that sort of wild card is actually kind of like what we need. I think we find
it refreshing from an entertainment value, but
not just because of that. I think
that's the only thing I'm getting out of it.
I think from the aspect of the system is collapsing before us, and this sort of these sort of wild card politics, throwing these wrenches into these different systems and institutions, sort of helping them break down, exacerbating the collapse that is happening in these institutions. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for us, and I think
I do think you're right about that, Vince. I do think that, to use your analogy, sort of jamming the machine is somewhat appropriate. However, there need to be guardrails around that. There need to be limits imposed. And I think a very clear and present danger is exactly what we've talked about regarding Gaza. Making the ridiculous statements that Trump has made about these people who are being murdered, they're being ethnically cleansed in their own country, has only unified the entire region against the United States. And supporting Israel unilaterally, as we continue to do, and Trump shows no sign of divorcing himself from that or divesting the United States from that at all, will only guarantee that we're embroiled in a war. Likewise, it's all fine and good to talk to the Russians, but we have to have a program. We have to have a framework that can establish peace. This requires strategic thinking. It requires the muscle memory of people that are committed to long-term solutions. This is where Musk and Trump seem to run afoul, and that's what concerns me. I'm all fine. I am fine with them jamming the gears of government domestically, exposing the fraud, the corruption, talking about taboo topics. That's fine. But in order to solve some of these problems, or at least prevent them from spreading, we need adults that are going to apply guardrails to this sort of collateral damage.
Right. And it is political theater. If they're disrupting things on a domestic level, but they're becoming more deeply entrenched with the larger system, with the larger global system that is the Israeli network, are they really even doing anything? And I've gotten some feedback lately that's like, all you guys do is talk about Israel. Like everything connects to this, and it's all that matters. It's all that matters. So like, it's fun for all of us to look at Elon Musk and Donald Trump and be like, oh, look what they're doing to the Department of Education or whatever. But does it really matter that much? I don't think so. I think that he is messing up spectacularly on a global scale, and it's because his interests are not aligned with Americans. or Westerners?
Yeah, there is a lot of truth in what you're saying, Rebecca, and it's not a pleasant topic to address as routinely as we do, but just to give a little bit of a spoiler to what we're going to talk about in a moment with Dugin, it is so crucial to address the JQ and the Zionist project because a lot of people outside the United States, the Russians included, at least as evidenced by Dugin's comments, they don't understand the extent to which that third rail is so subversive and so powerful over our government and taking us in a direction that we should not go. That obligates us to talk about it. Unfortunately, we have to, but and it is an unpleasant conversation. I understand that, but it is necessary on that basis.
On that note, should we roll to the Dugin interview?
We could.
I thought.
Did we have something else?
Want to talk about the? Didn't you have like?
I did, but it was such a clean transition.
Okay.
But we messed it up.
But you messed it up already, so we can still talk about it.
I know that Cam had something to say, like on the South African situation more broadly in terms of cultural conflict. I know that Cam wanted to sort of put that into context for us.
Well, we can elaborate on that in a future program because there's a lot to that particular issue. So I think that's best kept for a future program.
Okay,
great.
We can do that. Alexander Dugin interview, everybody. Let's take a look.
Welcome, Alexander Dugin, Russian philosopher, historian, author. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's such a pleasure.
You're welcome.
I've heard you say that your ideas are your identity. Why do you think that you're viewed as such a dangerous man?
To say the truth, I have developed during all my life, writing more than 70 books, the ideology or the system, theoretical system, philosophical, geopolitical, opposite to liberalism. So, and I am somehow happy that those whom I consider to be my main ideological enemies, they have recognized my position, my work, and call it dangerous because I wanted that precisely because my idea was to create some new alternative to the liberalism, and I started to trying to combine some idea from right and some ideas from left, to combine them in order to attack, to compound some illiberal or anti-liberal ideology. Finally, I have gone further, and I've suggested fourth political theory outside of all three political ideologies of Western modernity, precisely liberalism, communism, and fascism, in order to transcend, to overcome, to go beyond them, in order to rehabilitate some pre-modern political ideas, philosophical ideas, religious ideas, but not just as return to the past, but as the projection of the eternity into the future. Because the problem with modernity, that modernity is rooted in time only. There is nothing outside the time, nothing outside the bodies, nothing outside the matter. And traditional attitude of any normal religion is quite opposite. So there is the God, there is heaven, there is eternity, and past, present, and future are three projections of this eternity. So if we want to go further, to go ahead, to bring future closer to us, or to enter into the future, we need to make appeal to the eternity and take the part of it, the spark of this eternity, in order to build and create future. Otherwise, you will be at the same moment where we are blocked. And precisely this blockage, this happens with liberalism. It pretends it is progressive, it pretends it is modern, but it makes the circles at the same place. It could not go further, and that is vicious circle. So it is something that is closed, the closed circle, and that is why liberalism now is clearly totalitarian. Before, communism and fascism were openly totalitarian systems, and comparing with them, liberalism looked like something better, that defense of freedom and so on. But in the reality, when communism and fascism were defeated, liberalism was alone on the planet, and we have discovered its terrible and totalitarian nature, the essence. And that is why, first of all, we need to fight, in my opinion, liberalism in order to deblock the way, the path to the future. But at the same time, I consider communism and fascism as two traps, two obstacles for creation and of this post-liberal world.
And I've heard you make the argument that it's sort of baked into the cake, that individualism is really the pernicious belief system that has set us on this trajectory. Could you talk a little bit about that and how individualism has had this negative global influence?
So we need to get a little bit of the history. There was a quarrel among the scholastics, among the Catholic in the early Middle Ages about what is the reality of something universal, the something common. There were three positions. First of all, that of the Platonists. The Platonists, like John Scott Eriugena, they claimed that idea could exist without body. So idea is real. Idea that is something universal, something common, and the individuals are just reflections mirroring this idea. There was a second position of this more or less Aristotelian position that idea and material body coexist, but you cannot have material body, something individual, without idea. Idea is present in this body, and you cannot have idea without body. So body and idea, or something universal and something material, they should normally coexist. That was the main position of the Thomas of Aquin, and that was that this approach prevailed. But from very beginning, from a certain man, John Rosselin, started new third position, that there is only body. There is only something individual, and all the rest are just a name, just classifications. That was the beginning of all positivist individualist tradition. So there is nothing in common. Everything is just individual. So there is no idea. Idea is just something that was imagined on the side of the human in order to classify the things. So that was nominalism. That was called nominalism. Step by step, this nominalism and individualism prevailed over Platonism and Aristotelianism. And in two branches. First of all, in the Protestant theology, basing on the personal individual relations between individual and God, and at the same time in materialist science, modern science that has revived the ancient atomism as well. Something, atom is as the things without meaning. It could enter in different combinations. So that is very, very modernistic idea of atom. So individual on the side of the human and atom on the side of the object, they were combined and they have created the paradigm of modernity. And in politics, that gave democracy, atomization of civil society, or just arbitrary essence of the state, for example, advocated by Thomas Hobbes first. And that was the idea that these atomic individuals, in order not to kill each other in the so-called natural state, they should agree upon creation of Leviathan on some state. And John Locke has responded to a bit later. So why, if we construct the state, we could deconstruct the state? Mm-hmm. That was the beginning of full-scale liberalism. Adam Smith has applied the ideas of John Locke to the economy, and welcome to the capitalism, welcome to the liberal democracy. Step by step, during the history, this individualism has eroded all kind of organic collective ties in the society, with the state, with the estate, with the ethnic groups, religion, and when the liberals have overcome their classical enemies, they started to destroy everything that was left. Sexual, gender identity, that was as well something in common. It is not, you could not be woman or man just alone. That is the gender. Gender is the collective identity and not individual identity. Idea to gender politics was the destruction of that, of this last tie that made people something common. And the last step was to destroy a human species, because to be human, it is collective identity. So liberalism, logically, it is not just by the chance or something casual that this gender politics began, or post-humanism began as well. So they are the stages in the application on the global scale, the principle of individualism. And globalism is part of that, because globalism is the liberalism in the international relations, when you apply this individualistic atomistic concept to the whole humanity. There are no such things as nation states, as ethnic group, as races, nothing of the sort exists. So you could just manage this atomized society without gender, and tomorrow without being necessary human. Human is optional. We see that already in the films, in the movies, when there are the fighters for robots' rights against so-called human-centered fascism. So they prepare. They just start to make a campaign to put the robots and post-human or non-human entities on the same level as human. That is the terminal station, terminal phase of liberalism. And all that has ended in your country 2 weeks ago. That's so not just decades of the rule of the Democratic Party. The modernity is over, has ended. The modernity starting from the nominalism, from nominalism to Trump.
You were talking about the differences in people. We are a different people. We are a different culture. You were talking about how mosques shouldn't be allowed to be built within Christian societies and vice versa. If you take that theory, I think Sam Huntington talked about this. He talked about this in his book called The Clash of Civilizations. He actually talked about Thomas Aquinas in this book. When we talk about the idea not being able to exist without the body, we can sort of apply it to the American idea not being able to exist without the people. Do you think we caught it just in time? Do you think America is going down like this demographic shift that's happening in America? Do you think that this will be the end of us?
So first of all, I very much like the idea to apply Thomas Aquinas' concept, Aristotelian ontology of the necessity of having idea and the things to the political level. I agree. That is very inspiring and very deep. attitude. So American idea could not exist without American people, but American people could not exist as well without American idea. So there are both elements that here are necessary. So you could not say, oh, we have people and that's enough. Not. That is not enough because if there is no idea, there is no people. But there could be idea without people, but that is not living idea. So I think that why to think is so important, and philosophy is so important. Philosophy is crucial element in modern days American revival. So I think, and more the young people and the intellectuals from the new generation will dedicate their attention, their efforts to study philosophical concepts, the theory, the more successful this American conservative revolution will be. So American idea is absolutely necessary, but I totally agree, without American people, it will not work. It could be easily imitated, made simulacrum.
So here in the West, among traditional Catholics that go to like the Latin Mass, we have a big devotion to something called Our Lady of Fatima, which was this apparition of Our Lady to these 3 shepherd children in 1917, warning of the Bolshevik Revolution before it happened, just weeks before the revolution happened. Warning that Russia would spread her errors all over the world and that we would suffer if the Pope didn't consecrate Russia. I've got several questions about this, so I was curious, are you aware of this? And is Putin aware of this? What is the Russian attitude towards Our Lady of Fatima? Would Russia welcome a consecration to Our Lady's Immaculate Heart? Would that be welcomed? Would that be viewed as a hostile act? And how does that connect with Russian Orthodox eschatological view of the end times?
Sure, I know.
Sorry, that was a big question.
No, that's a good question.
So Putin as well, he knows that, but that is a kind. There are 2 parts in that. On one hand, so you could interpret the prophecies of Fatima as premonition about the horrors coming to Russia and all these things, bloody things that Bolshevists have done to our country. So that was devastation of the country. And after that, the consecration of Pope we could interpret in our own religious perspective, horizon, that is return to the Christian root. And that has happened. And that is happening now, this reconsecration of our land and our people to Holy Virgin Mary. That was, but to do that, this mystical repentance, the mystical return, we somehow don't need too much Pope. We have our own tradition, our land was always consecrated to Lady Mary, and that the cult of Mary is the main axis of Russian Orthodox tradition. More than that, in my studies, I have arrived to a very interesting conclusion that in Orthodox Christian tradition, Byzantine, Greek, and above all Russian, Mother Mary is the perfect human being. So that is Our Lady as the symbolism of the humanity. And veneration of the Mother Mary is the very essence of our Christian Orthodox feeling. So for us, return or consecration of our land to Mother Mary is what is happening now. It is not external, it is internal event, but from Catholic perspective, it could look like that. Divine things are very special, so you can interpret their meaning from your horizon. It is normal. So, but I think that we don't accept the role of Pope after the schism. So we consider Catholicism as the sister branch, sister faith, sister church, but we are not under its competition, its order. So we have self-centered Christian universe, I would say, where Mother Mary plays that central role, and that was always that. Always, it is not new. So we consider Russia to be a kind of motherland of Mother Mary. That is symbolic. So
Motherland of Mother Mary.
Yes, we are her people. We are her empire in some sense. And the replacement, there was in the prophecy of Fatima, replacement of the red stars in the Kremlin by the symbols of Mother Mary. It is symbolic. It will be accomplished not with the statues, because we have no such tradition to have to venerate the statues, but the imperial eagles now are partly restored in the Kremlin. So our this symbolic act was already done, but in slightly different perspective, proper to our own spiritual and religious tradition.
I just wanted to ask you one more question. It's an easy one, so just relax. But this question is about an article you wrote about Zionism, which I found particularly compelling. And in that article, you talked about a transition psychologically, spiritually, from Auschwitz to Gaza, which I think is a very appropriate parameterization of the conflict that we're dealing with in the world today. I do think, as you have written, that there is a broader consciousness and awareness of this transition, the Zionist project, into the demolition of Gaza, into ethnic cleansing in Palestine and beyond. However, where there is not an understanding of that appears to be the Trump administration. And I am the Lone Ranger on this in this group. I am not a believer in Donald Trump, nor do I think his second election as president is a major shift in this country. And the reason for that is what took place this past week when Benjamin Netanyahu came to the United States. And what I witnessed was probably the most shameful act of subservience to a foreign power that I've ever seen in my life. And Sergei Lavrov actually said that what Trump said, more or less, is that the Palestinians and their will and their land should be canceled, just as the previous administration, the Biden administration, believed or asserted that Russia should be canceled, and ultimately that this is what this war is all about. So my question is, given that pretext, is there an understanding in Russia of the extent to which the United States is beholden to Zionism? And what is the state of the Zionist project from your vantage point at this moment in time? Will there be war in the Middle East as a consequence of America's failure to decouple from the Zionist project?
So I have observed in the camp of Trumpists two different, very different lines. On one side, there are Christian Zionists, and on the other hand, you have such people like Jeffrey Sachs or John Mearsheimer, with whom I have spoken recently, and Tucker Carlson, who is very, very open on this issue. He has no so clear pro-Zionist position as many other Trumpists. So I observe Candace Owens, for example. She is totally for Trump, very, very brave and brilliant journalist, but at the same time, she's totally in favor of Palestine. So I think that there are two lines, and the existence of them shows that it is not yet totally clarified element of Trumpism. Trump is something so revolutionary that we could not reduce that neither to Zionism nor to anti-Zionism, neither to nationalism, nor to new hegemonic effort to recreate the dominance of the West. So it is something just in gestation, something that is just not fully born. It is the process of the birth. That is the birth. What we have now, it is the birth. Trumpism is the birth. But it could go in different ways. So I don't think there is clear and unique geopolitical vision of the Trumpists about Middle East. He, as long as I understand, he likes Netanyahu because he is strong, right, and is not victim. He is a winner. He is brutal and violent leader that provokes the hatred of everybody and fear. So that is a kind of role model, and taken separately, it could look very attractive to the other big leader. So at the same time, I think that it is, in my opinion, it is not the strongest part of Trumpism. This his total support for Netanyahu, because it makes him to be finally the enemy of all Islamic world. So not only Iran or Shia, but that you could not, and that is the main argument of Mearsheimer, that it is not illogical to exchange small country for huge Islamic civilization that could be a kind of ally in different situation of new America. So that is Mearsheimer's argument. I think there are many elements in this pro-Zionist position that doesn't absolutely coincide with position of Russia. Mm-hmm. So we don't have any special sympathy for Israel.
Do you guys have a Jewish lobby? Is there a Jewish lobby in Russia the way that we have AIPAC here in America?
I don't think so, because there was a big liberal lobby until recently that was composed mostly by Jews, but they were, in our opinions, the same. But now it's totally different. Those who are against Putin, they left. So openly, those who agree with Putin, Jews or not, they behave themselves as Russian patriots. So we have no just a Jewish lobby as something that having shape now. So no. So but I think that Putin's relation to Israel is critical, but not in any sense openly anti-Zionists. Mm-hmm. So we refuse ethnic cleansing, this terrible genocide of Palestinians, and we condemn that. But at the same time, I think that now we are so much centered on the Ukraine, so we're having our own problem, and so we could play the active role there in the Middle East. So in that sense, our participation in the Middle Eastern problems is just symbolic, I would say. Right. We are not leading player there. So, but at the same time, answering your question, I think there will be the big war there, because the Zionists now, with the support of Trump, they would try to create greater Israel. And that will provoke more and more hostilities, more and more reaction. So more and more people will be involved in that. and maybe Trump overestimates his own power to stop that or to control that. There are so huge energies in the world, and above all in the territory of the Holy Land, where all the eschatological prophecies coincide there. So Trump could not solve them by his will. So now he is making a huge victory over the evil inside of the United States. That is really dramatic. That is something so great that we couldn't expect that. But nevertheless, there are some limits of American power, and I was very, very astonished by the words of Marco Rubio recently, when he has recognized the multipolarity. Because if you recognize multipolarity, and I think that from the American point of view, better call it the great power order, great powers order. So there are not only one great power. Make America great again. There is MEGA as well, make Europe great again. The other great powers exist also, that creates more delicate and more balanced, more as in Huntington's Clash of Civilizations vision, there are civilizational states competing, cooperating, fighting, making pieces with among them, but not as national states, as Westphalian system, but new actors, civilizational state. In that sense, Israel is not civilizational state. It's something, the territory that is placed on the intersection point between different civilizational states. It is just frontier. Frontier zone, geopolitically speaking. And at the same time, that is a sacred place where many eschatological events should happen. So I think that in that eschatological scenario, United States of America and Trump certainly should play some important role, but we could not say immediately what role it will be. So that is open question, and I think that it is important to think deeper in that, because now we are approaching somehow eschatological moment in the history, because you know the end of the history, it is Hegelian concept, and it coincides with the creation of the real state. So for the Hegel himself, the end of the history was not global civil society, but creation of the real spiritual state as the big idea. That is American moment, I think. And being involved in such metaphysically important process, America will discover many things that maybe were put aside or misunderstood in the previous less important phases and ages of your political history.
I totally agree. And I think that we can all agree that Trump has grossly miscalculated the situation and does not understand the spiritual nature of this conflict. Mr. Dugin, we have taken so much of your time today. I want to thank you so much for joining us. And as a group, we would like to offer our heartfelt condolences for the tragic loss of your daughter. What an awful thing for you to have to endure. We're so sorry. I see your picture there, so I wanted to address that. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will have this across platforms. You can find his information below, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
We hope you enjoyed our interview with Andrew Dugin. He is such a polarizing character that as soon as I had announced that we were interviewing him, I just immediately had an onslaught of hate mail.
So did I. My Twitter was inundated with these.
Absolutely.
People calling me a Freemason and a Crowleyite and a Duginist, and it's just, what is going on here? I just want to talk to a guy from a different country with a different perspective. That doesn't mean I believe everything.
He is an interesting man. He had a lot of excellent insights. So for those of you that are interested in watching the full interview, we have that at Subscribestar/The Backlash. We also have it on our Patreon That is Patreon / The Backlash, I
You
think.
can go to thebacklash.net, and we've got all kinds of handy links there.
Yep.
So you can see the video there.
And right there, yep. And if you think that we missed anything and you had questions for us or questions that you think we should have asked, please send those to
our super chats, thebacklash.net/superchat or powerchat.live/thebacklash.
Thank
Say
you.
that 10 times fast.
I know. I just had a major
quite the
brain
tongue
fart.
twister. But we've spoken to Dugin since we did the interview, and he'd be willing to come back on. So if you have any questions that you think we missed or that we should have asked, or that I guess you wish we had aired, please tell us in the super chats, and we will read them right now or very shortly. Cam, I'm curious about your thoughts of the interview, and generally what you think of Dugin's perspective.
Yeah, so let's talk first about the hate mail that you got. And we live in emotional times. Politics is always divisive, but now especially it's very polarizing. And I think that's it's a good place to start a discussion about Dugin and really what we're trying to do with this show. And I think this was a great guest that Rebecca booked. It's really our first serious guest, I guess you would say. And I thought it was a fantastic start to hopefully a series of these. When Rebecca, Vince, Dave, and I came together to start the Backlash, the four of us all agree in broad strokes that there's something wrong with the right. And I think we all have sensed this, if not articulated this for some time. There seems to be a kind of lack of vision, a lack of disciplined thinking, perhaps a lack of organization. And so our view was that we wanted to create a platform that would feature a show, to be sure, but ultimately that this show would become an anchor for a new way of approaching the right. The right, if you will, has been criticized, I think justifiably so, by a lot of folks in the right for being sort of incoherent, undisciplined, a bit amateurish, so forth and so on. Part of the reason for that is because I think a lack of communication, not just communication inside the United States, domestically, within the right, by having serious conversations, not trying to destroy other people's characters, not trying to engage in palace intrigue, not trying to dox people, which is something that often happens in this space, but by opening doors, opening lines of communication so that we can talk about a lot of these issues that are tearing this country apart, tearing the right apart in a very serious manner. Part of that involves talking to people from other countries, especially Russia right now, that are very controversial, that have views that are very strong, that have a big impact, not just on Russia, but on the world, sort of a mirror, if you will, into the way the rest of the world thinks. Because just as confused as we are inside the United States, people around the world don't really know what to make of what we're doing. As we sit here and try to ponder what Elon Musk tweets mean, or Donald Trump, et cetera, the rest of the world has absolutely no clue a lot of the time. And I can tell you that firsthand because I've been to a lot of these countries, and people ask me, hey, how do you make sense of this? What is Trump really doing, so forth and so on. So I thought it was very good to have Dugin on for that purpose. Now, that being said, Dugin said some things that I think are particularly noteworthy. One is he said that Trump is the birth. Now, as critical as I am, and I'm probably the most vociferous critic of Donald Trump amongst the four of us, I think that's correct. I think Trump is the birth of something. He certainly was the birth of something in 2015 and 2016. Now, I also agree with Dugin that it's unclear as of yet exactly what that birth entails. Now, my own view is that he sort of opened the door. Now the rest of us have to walk through it, and we're going to be forced to walk through it whether we want to or not, because we're headed for a kind of existential crisis, the likes of which I don't think we've seen since the Depression, maybe not since the Civil War. And again, I think that Dave and Vince and Rebecca all share that sense that we're sort of headed into something that transcends politics, folks, a spiritual moment of sorts. And that's also how Dugin framed it. I think that's correct. At the same time, however, it seems clear that Dugin's view is that Trump himself is a kind of Putin-like figure, that he is affecting a revolution of government, of policy in ways that I simply don't see. And this is a critical moment in our country's history for all kinds of reasons, especially because of our relationship with Russia. And just a couple of examples on this that really illuminate the importance of what's going on here. The deputy Russian foreign minister, a man named Sergei Rybkov, said recently, I think last week, in fact, that U.S.-Russian relations are on the verge of rupture. Now, these are two nuclear powers that I think have never had worse relations than they do today. Never. That includes during the Cold War. That includes during the Cuban Missile Crisis, okay? In addition to that, Sergei Lavrov said recently that in addition to the cancellation of all things Russian regarding which Vladimir Zelensky is enacting laws, we observe the desire of our Western colleagues to also cancel everything Russian. And that is the same language that he's used to describe what Trump is doing in Gaza. So I say all of that to say this: we have to engage. And part of the program of reform is to open the door to some of these irascible figures, controversial people that have ideas that may rub you the wrong way, so that we can engage in dialogue. Because what Donald Trump is missing, and ultimately this is where I think Dugin is completely accurate, is he doesn't really have a vision. He is, as Vince said, he is a disruptor, but he's not a reformer. That is our job. That's ultimately the purpose of the Backlash, and that's why we hosted Dugin, and that's why communication, not just inside the United States, on the right, but also with some of these figures overseas, is so crucial. So, Rebecca, thank you for inviting him. I thought he was a great guest.
Yes, I really wanted to get inside the mind of Dugin, understand why people hate him so much, because I'm listening to him talk and I'm like, this all seems pretty uncontroversial to me.
Right.
Right. But people hate him viscerally.
Yeah.
And I think that as Americans and as Westerners, we don't really understand the psyche of Russians. We don't understand the tapestry of their history. We don't understand what their people are like, or their sense of culture. And something that I didn't understand about Russia was that, I know it's a giant country, but there is a lot of ethnic diversity in Russia. So some of the things that he had said about race, I was like, oh no. Uh-oh. Like, how are we going to square this circle? But understanding where he comes from and that he does live, in a sense, in a multicultural society.
Yeah.
Put it in perspective for me a little more. I still don't agree with him about everything, but I hate that we have to come on here and be like, we had this guest on, we respect him, but we don't agree with him.
You're a Duginist.
I don't want to do that.
He kind of just seemed like a boomer to me, just like a Russian boomer with Russian boomer politics.
Yeah.
Trump is the savior, and I love the question you asked about Aleister Crowley, because a lot of people accuse him of being a Satanist. I think he answered that question good.
I was going to include that in the edit for today's show, by the way. I was going to include that in the edit because there was this guy, I guess Fitzinfo or whatever. He's like Fitzpatrick Informer. He's like one of the biggest anti-Dugin people on Twitter. And I had great relationship with the guy. We would text back and forth all the time. And I was like, okay, what would you like me to ask Dugin? And he was like, I want you to ask about Aleister Crowley, Satanism, and him, being a Freemason or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. And we did it. And then the moment that I posted that we had done the interview, this guy comes in the replies, blah, 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 blah. Here's all of the reasons why Dugin is bad. And I'm like, bro, I literally just gave you 20 minutes of this interview so that this guy could elaborate what happened, why he did those things, when he did them, about his path to orthodoxy.
And his explanation seemed totally fine to
and
me.
his explanation was fine. Okay. But the point is that they didn't even let the interview get released. So I was just like, I'm not doing it. I'm going to cut that. And if you want to watch it, you can pay $8 on Subscribestar.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of other hard questions we asked him that are all in the full interview on Subscribestar. By the way, I do have to say this. We are changing the time of the show once again, and hopefully finally. Starting next week, the show is going to air at 5 p.m. Pacific time.
4 p.m.
4 p.m. Pacific time. 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
We are doing this because we've done some research about the best time slots, and I think that it would behoove us to move back.
Yeah.
a little bit.
We're not, there's a lot of audience overlap with Nick, with
and the East
a lot
Coast.
of other streamers. And
It's late on the East Coast.
Super late.
So late on the East Coast.
When we get
People-
done, it's super late. It's
Yeah.
like midnight.
Is it late on the East Coast? I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Seriously?
And Cam is
And
like
Cam,
tired.
right.
Cam's like a boomer, so he's like 48, I think.
He's
Just turned
he's in his
48.
corner chair with his sweater.
Age
Look at
doc.
that.
That's right.
Age doc.
right.
Turned 49 this year, right? Cam, something like that. 50.
Yeah, minus a few years. Yeah,
Minus a few
for sure.
So we'll be, and then so send your super chats. We're gonna read your super chats here in a bit. So I just wanted to say that. So we're gonna be changing the time of the show, and also we're going to be adding an additional weekly show on Mondays where we're gonna have. So someone asked in the chat, I hope not more than twice a week. We're gonna have guests. It's gonna be once a week, and it's gonna be on a different day. We're gonna do Mondays. Cam will be able to join us maybe occasionally. I don't think he'll be able to join us every week, but we'll be having guests on. All of the top names you guys know on Twitter and more. In-studio guests.
In-studio guests.
Yeah.
Maybe even, I think I'm going to Europe this summer. Maybe I'll make a little exclusive documentary about that, and we'll post that.
Yeah.
And my goal too is if we start, being able to pay the bills, pay the internet bills that it's going to cost. I would also like to add a third show, like a call-in show. I think.
All right, everyone scale it back. I have PTSD from my old call-in show, okay?
But we're not there yet.
Yeah,
these are just our grand plans, but we are changing the show to 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, starting next Wednesday.
And we do need your help. I think that the best way we can do that is for you to join our Subscribe Star and contribute something monthly that will really help us make some of these goals come to fruition. While we were doing the show, some breaking news came in. You want to pull this up, Dave?
Yeah.
Israel likely to strike Iran in coming months, warns U.S. intelligence. Whoa,
Preemptive attack.
I'm so shocked. This is the most surprising thing I've ever seen in my entire...
Who didn't see this coming?
Yeah.
It's really incredible just how brazen these Zionists that occupy our government are being, and it's clearly emboldened the radicals over in Israel. And I wonder what kind of bombs are they going to be bombing Iran with? Perhaps the new Moab 2,000-ton bombs or whatever it is that Donald Trump just authorized to be transferred over there. Is it going to be American bombs, American missiles that are going to be?
It's a good question, Dave. Just one thing on that is noteworthy is that I think that it's very likely they're going to use those bombs in Gaza and maybe even in the West Bank.
Oh,
yeah.
That would.
This is how heart-wrenching the situation is. One other thing to add to all of this, because I know a lot of people like to play the Trump plays three-dimensional chess game. Russia and Iran just signed a treaty, a kind of comprehensive strategic partnership. Now, if you recall, I did ask Dugin about the Zionist project and whether or not there would be a war in the Middle East. And Dugin was an affirmative on that question. He said, yeah, I think there's going to be a big war. Well, if there's going to be a big war in the Middle East, and I would argue that wars are already spreading there, we know that at a minimum that will involve Iran and Israel. Now, we back Israel, and if this strategic partnership has any meat to it, and I think it does, between the Russians and Iranians, that by implication means that Russia is involved in this. So already you're seeing the conditions are there for a war that's developing before our eyes. And as I said before, if the dialogue that it seems the Trump administration is engaging in with the Russians is going to go anywhere, it's got to move quickly to head this off. Because if it doesn't address a critical, I would say, enduring framework for peace in Ukraine, the Russians will be drawn into any conflict that happens in the Middle East, and that could mean a world war, folks. This is why diplomacy is so important. This is why I'm as critical as I am of Donald Trump, because he appears to only have one speed, right? For him, everything is sort of about sensationalism. It's all about some kind of bluster. Unfortunately, that's not what diplomacy is about, especially not at this critical time. And if you read any of the language from Dugin, it is in strictly eschatological terms, meaning sort of end of the world terminology. Okay, that's the way a lot of these people think about these things, and we have to treat it with that equal degree of seriousness. And sometimes, maybe most of the time, Trump doesn't do that, and that really concerns me.
Cameron and I have been talking offline a little bit about financial collapse because we were working a bit on an episode along those lines. And the other day, he sent me something that was very alarming, and I said, like, "Are you scared? Are you scared for what's coming?" And he said yes. He said I am scared, and that really is the situation that we're in right now. This is such a tenuous situation. It's alarming, and I think that the average American does not realize this.
I think you're right.
There's a missile silo, a former missile silo.
Oh, I know.
In Spokane.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, see if you can pull it up. There's a former missile silo in Spokane that is for sale right now. Spokane missile silo. Just put in for sale. It'll pull it up. Sorry, my computer is dead. Otherwise, I would have pulled this up. There it is. Atlas E missile base.
And there's a few of these bad boys around. Beautiful.
19,000 square feet. I think it's on 30 acres. It's going for $1.4 million. There's multiple buildings.
Practically a steal.
It's a deactivated missile. Like, it doesn't come with the missiles, but it has the silo. It has like cold storage. So if we've got any crypto whales that are willing to invest in,
oh my goodness,
a literal military base that's near here.
Come here. You go to donate, okay?
We'll offer cold storage, yeah.
And you put in, what is this, 1.5 million, okay? And just
5,000.
Send us, no.
No, that's not it. That's wrong.
Not it.
That's
but
wrong.
Send us, that Bitcoin address is active. You can send whatever you want there. Take a screenshot of it. But we will definitely...
Elon, send us this
Send us the money. Look at this. Look, imagine the content we could create out there.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Far.
No, it's
like
not.
30 miles.
Sprague is disgusting. No. I'm putting
yes.
No.
Do you know you've got a black eye already, so
I do,
you might not want
yeah.
to test you.
It's from my baby though.
Yeah, sure.
Vince,
sure.
you really got to stop hitting women, man.
I know.
It's getting out of control.
They don't
buddy.
listen to me.
He's like, I'm
When
not
they
going to
don't
read
listen-
the outline. I'm not going to do it.
When they don't listen about what we tell them to wear, what we tell them to say, they have to be checked.
Listen, my
They must
mom
be-
watches this show. She watches this
They
show.
must be
My dad watches the show.
realigned, reorganized, reoriented, restored to their natural order.
Oh, right. Well,
Well,
let's
it is noteworthy that that's sort of what Dugin talked about, a kind of restoration.
Beating
and
women?
It just was interesting to hear the sort of metaphorical framework that he put Donald Trump in, because I do think a lot of Americans, I think they view Trump in a very similar fashion. I really do. I've seen evidence for that for a long time. You know, they sort of view him as the hero, as the savior. We'll see. You know, nobody knows the future. Maybe he can arrest a lot of these forces of decline and destabilizing, you know, conflict and so forth. I don't know, but I think not. That's certainly my fear. Let's see what happens when the pressure is turned up. My hope is that Trump and Musk will sort of kick into another gear. Maybe they'll get a little bit more serious. As of today, it just doesn't seem like that they've adjusted to their new role.
That's true.
Yeah.
Did anybody have anything else they wanted to say about the Dugin interview?
Nope.
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 Let's do some super chats.
All right.
Let's see what people are saying.
You guys still have time to get your super chats in at thebacklash.net
Thebacklash.net
/super chat.
/super chat. We are up on Streamlabs.
PowerChat.
PowerChat.live.
Not Entropy.
We are on Entropy.
Nobody's on Entropy. It's not working for
We
anybody.
got 2 super chats from Entropy.
No way.
It worked. Yeah, it worked. It worked
Oh, awesome.
for me
Okay.
today too on my show. So
Great.
And there are people reached back out to me. It's fine. It's taken care of. We do have a super chat that we got. Excuse me.
Dan
Before we went live, and it was Right Wing Watch sent me.
Dude, they've been all over our case.
And that's because Right Wing Watch did a nice little clip of our show from last week. Can we pull it up?
yeah, let's pull it. I would have pulled it up, but my computer's dead. So sorry about
Man,
that.
I think that this is the third Right Wing Watch hit piece that they've done since we started.
Well, we were fishing for a clip in that episode, but it was a different one about women because it's a woman that runs the Right Wing Watch Twitter
Is it
account.
really?
It is, yeah.
Oh.
And anytime you talk about women, she'll clip you. So we said that she was going to clip us, but she clipped us. She clipped us in a different point where we were talking about something. I don't know.
I don't know if I'm
I don't remember
going to be able
either.
to find it. I don't have it saved. It's like a million years ago, basically.
But it's funny that they
They're not
are
even
kind
on
of
our
they're
thing.
curating this list of
The
people
Backlash
to listen
tweeted
to.
it out.
We did?
Yeah, whoever runs the Backlash Twitter account
sucks.
Really is doing a great job.
Oh,
and,
yeah, great job. Good job.
And they tweeted it out. They quote tweeted it.
There it is.
There it
Thank you
is.
for the free. Pull it up on screen
Vincent
here.
James and Rebecca Hargraves admit that they've been basically completely destroyed their lives by being unabashed white nationalists, but claim it was all worth
Listen,
it.
a lot of us took a lot of slings and arrows. I know me
He says
especially.
slings and arrows like 40
I
times.
took a lot of slings and arrows over
He
the
says
past
it
10
again.
years. Blonde, Dave. And we took a lot of slings and arrows to be able to normalize the conversations.
I didn't even notice that.
Or somewhat normalize the conversations that we're having today. And so it's a lot.
Anyway.
We sort of.
I'm not going to play the whole clip. You want to play the whole clip?
Yeah,
I
play-
can
play
play
the-
the whole
paved
clip.
the,
Come on.
path
'Cause we
for
didn't
the
say
rest
that.
of you to be able to tweet things.
Right.
No, I'm
and
not
it was
saying
totally,
do it
it was
openly.
worth it.
Right. It was
I mean,
totally
I
worth
wouldn't
worth
do it again knowing what
Right.
I know now, but.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my life is like completely destroyed. So this is the last option. So we were like the civil rights activists in that way. We
Yeah.
sort of have paved the
This is
path.
so
I knew that was going to get a clip.
pretentious.
You can cut out of it. Yeah. I knew that was going to get the clip. They hate when you say stuff like that. It's when you compare yourself to like Martin Luther King
Yeah.
or like Rosa Parks or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Nick did that once. You got the clip from that. But yeah, I mean, it's just
We are
clickbaiting.
civil rights activists.
It's like
Okay, we're
clickbaiting.
clearly better than Martin Luther King.
Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, our speeches are written by us, not by the NAACP or Stanley Levis.
Can we
Yeah.
get some declassification on Rosa Parks, by the way?
Yeah, really.
Because
Did you know
was an
that
operative,
her?
right?
Did
yeah.
you know that her entire thing, and this is admitted by the mainstream media, you have to look for this, but her like bus thing was planned by the NAACP. It wasn't like a random act. Most people don't know that. Anyway,
Wow.
Black community really ate that one up.
Yeah, they did. We love our black friends, don't we, folks?
We
our,
do.
Our
Jesse Lee Peterson. Did you see his clip
do.
with that guy?
amazing.
Oh my gosh, that clip was so funny. That was like one of the funniest JLP clips I've ever seen in my life.
Which
where
one?
he was asking where he was talking to that Jewish guy, and he was like, "Tell a Jewish joke."
oh yeah, that's right.
He was like, anyway,
He's like, yeah, Jews like money.
yeah,
And he's like, that's not a joke. then he goes and he doubles down and he goes, Jews have big noses.
yeah.
and it's like, bro,
and
what?
then the clip cuts. Yeah,
oh my gosh.
it's almost like Kill Tony has been like that lately, where they've just been like going hard.
Oh, really?
Like,
Yeah.
I love that show.
I love
Dave,
it.
didn't you introduce me
I
to
did.
that? Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave introduced me to that show. I love that show now.
Great show.
Like,
Shane Gillis.
nothing is off limits, and that's how it should be. Like
That's
Of
how it
course.
should be.
Yep.
Destroy the cancel culture.
no one
rails.
should be offended by anything. Just tell jokes.
Bill Biz sent $25. Thank you very much, Bill. In spite of Trump's directives, Washington State is determined to legally double down on transgender and illegal alien court challenges. Culturally, Seattle continues to become Weimar 2.0 epicenter. Yeah, it seems that way. There was a bill that I just saw last week that they introduced that would basically make confession illegal.
Oh, we talked about this, right?
No, that
so
was
blurry?
Wyoming. Oh, probably because my camera needs to focus.
Oh, there
on
we
me.
go.
Hello, I'm just need to scoot over a little bit. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
But no, so we had talked about how Montana introduced a bill like that, and now that was introduced in Washington. And every time the person that introduces it, Jewish. Every time.
Well, San Francisco is like that, kind of like San Francisco and Seattle go hand in hand. Vancouver, like Cam was talking about last episode. San Francisco's was like the one that everyone would talk about before, but now a lot of cities are kind of becoming like that. Like, sorry, Portland. Sorry, burp check.
Smells bad.
Portland.
Do you eat kimchi today?
No, I don't even like kimchi. Portland is like that. Actually, Bend, Oregon. When I was on my way up here for the first time, like moving up here, we drove through Bend, Oregon. Bend, Oregon is bad.
Yeah.
Like I never thought that Bend, Oregon was going to be like that.
A lot of her red ice is from Bend. It's terrible. She's been talking about it.
And so San Francisco, you know, the DA, the former district attorney who got recalled, his name was Chesa Boudin. He was the guy that was letting all these criminals out of prison. He was the guy that was calling maybe not personally, but his office was calling victims of crimes and asking them to drop the charges of victims of crimes that were committed by black people to create this restorative justice program. Chesa Boudin, he was actually the adoptive son of Bill Ayers and Bernadine Doran. Bill Ayers is like this radical...
The Weather
crazy guy.
Underground,
They
right?
were part of the Weather Underground movement in the 1960s that bombed the Capitol building. Susan Rosenberg and these people.
Yep.
His biological father and mother were also members of the Weather Underground group who are in prison. They're in prison for the bombings that they committed in the 60s. And he became the district attorney of San Francisco.
Unreal.
It got so bad that he got recalled in San Francisco, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That like some leftist crazy politician gets recalled, but it happened. So anyway, a little bit of history there.
Wow. And you know, it's funny because you hear these libtards talking about January 6th is dangerous to our democracy. And it's like, do you not remember the 1960s
I know.
or the 1970s? Like, come on. Like, things can and probably are going to get like a lot worse.
But January 6th was such a nothing burger. I mean, they had to lie about people getting killed.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. Over and over again. They lied about everything.
Yep.
They always will. That's why we need the FEMA camps. No, I'm kidding. Anonymous sent $10. I'm simping for blonde and you can't stop me.
We can't stop you. Please send your super chats in to simp for me. I really
Please do. And it looks
you're so responsive to the simps, man. Simping. It just does it for the ladies, doesn't it?
Totally. My mom today was like, "You're still getting simps at 37 years old. Isn't that amazing?" I was like, "Thanks."
Your mom like nags you a lot.
She really does.
She's clever.
Jeez. I mean,
but she keeps me, she keeps me on the path.
Humble?
No.
Okay.
But she makes sure that I talk about things that are important. And that's, really what family is for.
Yeah, I guess so.
She keeps you on a path.
A path.
What path that is, we don't know.
The path.
Hell?
It's some path.
No, talking about the Jews. It's the path.
Oh, boy. Your mother is like a massive anti-Semite.
Yeah.
No, anyway. Anonymous sent $5. Cam, what do you think the optimal strategy is using R and K mate selection, optimal hierarchical system, technological level, and religious integration? How compatible is science with your idealized society?
Oh, that's a great question.
Wow, for $5? That's
like a Stefan Molyneux reference in some way, shape, or form.
That's a $20 question,
Folks,
Anonymous. Come on.
You've heard me say this before. We need a nationalist movement, and that is what is the purpose of this platform. That is the answer. It's not overly complicated or complex. That's what it's about. It's about raising the consciousness of who we are, of the ethnos, of the national identity of the population. I think that's about to kick into gear as things get worse, but I've said that before. That being said, I think that demographic of young men between 20 and 40, that's the key demographic. The groypers and a growing, a growing number of them is going to be the rank and file of that movement. That's where we're headed. That's what's happening in Europe as we speak. In fact, there was a good article addressing that. I think it was written by the BBC, talking about the rise of right-wing men in Germany. So again, we're at the beginning stages of this, but that's where it's going to come from. Remember something. This is very difficult for a lot of very smart people that are in right-wing circles to understand. But ultimately, things are about power, right? The situation in South Africa is not hopeless. It is not. I don't care what the numbers are. It is solely about who controls power. Can the white South Africans gain power again in South Africa? You bet you they can. They could seize control of the means of production. They could get control of the power stations, the infrastructure very quickly. Once you get control of those things, all of a sudden everything changes very, very fast. This is not an academic model. This is about power. That's what it's about.
And I wanted to point out, if you go to our website, thebacklash.net, under support the show, we have a tab that says contact us, and you can send us an email with a message or whatever, and we can help get you connected. We've actually already had a couple of people reach out to us that are going to be running for office. I don't want to put it out there yet. I don't think they've announced. But
I don't think our endorsement is going to do them any favors.
No. It's not a matter of us endorsing them. What it is about is getting them in touch with political consultants, people that can help you run your campaign, people that can help you do graphic design, video production, get you networked with other nationalists in your area. And that is something that we can do to help the community build. On the down low. Like, we're not going to be blasting it out that, such and such
we won't
person
publicly endorse you because it'll just hurt you.
Right.
For sure.
But that's how this works. And a lot of times, these boomers are failing, frankly, I think, to really bring the next generation under their wing and show them the ropes. And so you can take it from people like, I ran for governor, I ran for school board. I kind of have learned by trial and error on what does work, what doesn't work. And so if that can be of use to people in our audience, please, we would love to hear from you on thebacklash.net. Okay, another anonymous sent $5. Search YouTube for new weapon drone system with AI by Shafe 5. It's 6 years obsolete, but I bet you'll be impressed. You guys have seen the Anduril stuff, right?
Yeah.
They have like fully AI integrated automated drones with like little plastic explosives and BBs that, like, Google Anduril drone AI and it'll come up.
It's crazy.
Scary.
Some of the stuff I see, some of these guys in like labs that are like talking to these guns, like telling them which way to shoot, how to shoot, what pattern to shoot in. And these guns are like copying the pattern precisely to a T, like without any errors.
Oh.
AI is crazy, like the weaponry. Honestly, to be honest, I know as much as we're like anti-war, it's kind of cool. It's kind of badass. Like some of this stuff is look at our beautiful weapons.
Let me pull this up. Even though we're not getting paid by end of conversations that we have. Maybe not that. Let's see here. Let's see. I want to find the part where it blows up because it's pretty incredible. Yeah, here it is.
Just unmanned, just machines of destruction. Anything beyond like what you've ever seen before. Initiate autonomous strike.
Yeah.
These are the path and some of the conversation.
I'm hearing something in the back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good Lord.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy, huh?
Unbelievable.
Look at that.
I don't know if you're aware of it, but the Chinese, I think, are building a carrier that's exclusively designed to carry drones. So drone warfare is for real, and it's definitely cutting edge. The other thing is Iran has extremely sophisticated drones. And that's something that's going to play a big role if and when this war with Israel kicks off as well.
Yeah, I just saw they launched a new drone carrier in the ocean where they all like launch off of there. It's crazy stuff. You're right. Addicted to Drums sent $25. Thank you. Nice to hear real conversations about what we are up against. Godspeed.
Thank you so much. That's what we're trying to do here.
It's cool.
Thank you.
Love these discussions.
Yeah. Robert sent $20. I like your new time, Mr. Riley. I also agree with Cameron that there seems to be a timer on the agenda these days. Almost hysterical at this point as the hourglass fades. 07, congrats, Dave. And Vince, lay off the zebra cakes. Buddy.
It's my, I'm gaining a little weight.
We got to get you some Ozempic.
You know, it's winter time, so.
Have you really gained weight?
Gained a little weight.
How much?
Gained a little weight. You know, the clip that Elon Musk tweeted, people were saying I got fat. And I did. Because that clip was from when I was back in California. I did get fat. Did get a little chunky. Little chunky monkey. Chunky monkey.
I was just
Vince.
thinking that your
It's
voice
nothing to
sounded
worry
gayer.
about. I think it's all just estrogen, isn't it?
It's seed. Listen, zebra cakes are my favorite. The Vincels know that zebra cakes are my ultimate all-time favorite. Someone sent me a pallet of zebra cakes.
Wait, is it like frosting and then vanilla? What is a zebra cake?
I don't know what it is. It's just deliciousness. It's
So it's
just a
just
small
processed
cake of deliciousness.
Trash is what you're
It's
saying.
seed oils. It's everything good. Everything good. It's the best dessert ever. The zebra cakes, and another one that maybe not a lot of people know of is the Nutter Butter bars. The Nutter Butter bars.
Nutty butter?
Nutty butter.
Jeez,
Those
what
are
are you
delicious.
eating? I don't understand. Like, I look at a bowl of pasta and I gain 10 pounds just by looking at
How
it.
do
I
people
move
do
around
this?
a lot.
Yeah.
I'm constantly moving, constantly doing things. Plus, I'm just better than you.
I thought you were really into. I thought you were really into ding dongs, Vince. No, did I have that wrong?
I do like a ding dong or two.
Yeah,
Maybe not as much as a former Navy guy, but I do like
What old
one or
Schmeagle
two
over here? Yeah.
Schmeagle, inside joke. Yeah, I do like a ding dong or two. No, but the zebra cake. Someone sent me to my PO box a pallet of zebra cakes.
And you ate all of them in the last 3 weeks, and
We've
that is
been-
why.
We've been munching down on them. And then, Silent Bear, there's a guy named Silent Bear who sends me things, and he sends me zebra cakes in his care packages. The giant ones. I don't like the giant zebra cakes. I like the smaller ones. They taste different. The big ones taste weird. The small ones taste better.
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know, 'cause
like
I-
sweet. I can't eat
I
sweets
find this
because I gain weight so
unbelievable.
quickly.
I love the zebra
I
cakes.
can't.
Because it's like the most processed trash.
What's your favorite cookie?
Like not processed cookie or like cookie type.
Just cookie.
Obviously, the Girl Scout
Let's be
cookies
honest here.
rings.
No one eats totally natural, organic everything.
I am so close, though. I'm
No,
very close.
come on.
I'm really, really
I've been
close.
working on
Yeah.
it. I cut out alcohol this summer.
Listen.
I've been
I've
cutting
no
out
alcohol,
oils.
no seed
Come on.
oils.
You never
yeah.
go to fast. You never get fast food.
like once every 6 months.
And it's delicious, right?
No.
No, you feel bad.
Yeah.
I usually
Come
can't
on.
shit
You
for a
guys
week.
are.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. Like I love fast food. I love peanut butter cookies from Walmart. Like those are the peanut butter cookies are.
No, I don't do any of
Backlash
this.
2045. We're going to be wheeling this guy in
I
a
know.
wheelchair.
It's good stuff. You try not to do it often, but it's good stuff.
No, I made oatmeal chocolate chip cookies last night, and they were it was like better than any processed stuff. Once you wean yourself off of
Oatmeal.
ultra processed food, it tastes disgusting.
I
too.
can't
The
eat
greatest,
it
the greatest fast food experience I've ever had. I was in a Wendy's. This is like 15, 20 years ago. And a woman got one of those. She was a big gal, and she got one of those triples. Do you remember those, Vince?
Yeah.
Yes.
Those
Yes.
triple burgers. And she got a biggie, like a biggie size drink, but she didn't fill it up. She took it over to the ketchup machine and filled it all the way up with ketchup, and then she took the triple and she dipped it in the ketchup for a healthy delight. That was
Sounds like my son.
that was
My son
memorable.
does that with ketchup. He loves ketchup.
Oh yeah,
Oh my god,
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I ate salad.
classy.
And I died last week. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think that was norovirus.
He's like, oh, my
I think
bowels.
I think that was
I
just
ate
because
a
I
seed
ate
oil
salad.
and my bowels exploded.
True. It happens when you
Just
wean
remember,
yourself off.
McDonald's used to sell pizza.
What?
Remember that?
They used to sell fries that were cooked in tallow. I would eat those all the time.
Did you guys see that USAID paid like $7 million to Pizza Hut in 1997?
What?
No, I did see that
What?
they indirectly funded Holocaust memorials to the tune of $100 million.
USAID paid $150 million to Pizza Hut.
Fact-checking viral claim.
Oh, wait. Is
As
it going to
one
tell
does.
me that it's not true? Is this going to
Obviously a
say it's
joke.
not
It was a
true?
joke. It was a joke. You fell for it.
Oh, shut up. Whatever.
I don't know. I mean, government funds have gone to more ridiculous things.
Yeah, they have like
Israel.
butt sex in Botswana.
Yes.
That too, Israel. Anonymous sent $5. How often are you going to do interviews? Hopefully no more than 2 times a week. Also try Chris Langan. He's one of the most intelligent people in the world and is pseudo-aware. I would love.
Okay, so I got a story about Chris Langan.
You fucked that one up.
I screwed the pooch on this one spectacularly. So Chris Langan, I've been trying to get him on my show for like years. And he's like, talk to my booking agent. And then they just stopped answering me. So like every 6 months I would follow up. And somebody on Twitter was like, get Chris Langan on. And like I tweeted at Chris Langan. I'm like, I've been trying to get Chris Langan on, but his booking agent won't respond. So he DMs me and he says, you're a very rude lady.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I said,
You're not.
and then he said, like, I am, but he said, like, delete that tweet. He's like, you can't say that my booking agent made a mistake. Like, you need to delete that tweet. And I was like, sir, I will say whatever I want. And then he blocked me.
Oh, wonderful.
So no Chris Langan interview.
Blocked by the smartest
I don't
man
want someone
in
like
America.
that. I don't want someone as sensitive. I don't want someone sensitive like that on the show.
Yeah, he was like such a sensitive little
That's too
bitch.
Plus, I've never heard of him.
And
Anyway.
I was angry because Chris Langan, he is J-woke. He has an IQ of like 200 or something.
Yeah, I think he
incredible.
has the highest score on the IQ test.
So what
ever
does he
recorded.
choose to do with his genius IQ? He hardly ever does the media circuits. Guess who he does an interview with? One person, Michael Knowles.
What the?
And I'm like,
Yeah, I
come
saw
on,
that
man.
interview.
Who
Like,
is Chris Langan? Tell me.
He's the smartest man
in
alive.
America. Yeah.
Oh God.
No, he's the smartest man in the world.
Is he?
Well, he started as a bouncer. I think he was like a college dropout.
Yes.
If I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
correctly.
He's super
Now he's a
old.
farmer.
Yeah, Guinness Book of Records, high IQ.
Yes. Anyway, he was just a real bastard to me. Just
So he's smarter than even Ted Kaczynski.
yeah.
Well, I guess he didn't bomb anyone, right? He didn't,
Is it-
and if he
does
did,
he-
he didn't get caught. So
Does he have the highest recorded IQ in human history? I suppose that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He's famous, Vince, for this what's called the CTMU, the Cognitive Theoretic Model of the Universe. It's worth checking out. It's interesting.
it is interesting. Also, fuck him.
Yeah.
He's also really into zebra cakes too. I think.
So
Is he really?
into-
He
if I
looks
recall
like
correctly.
it.
Yeah.
He looks like
We bring the important.
Maybe it's ding
stories to
dong.
you
He
guys.
looks
I
like
can't
it.
remember.
Looks like it. The Rohanian sent $5. This is to Dave. I wasn't hateful in my replies. I only shared the information I had regarding Dugin as I've been studying him for a very long time. Hope you don't lump me in with Fitz. Unblock, brother. Okay, I'll unblock you. But please, like, when I do an interview and I like,
He's getting his hands out. When I do an interview,
listen, when I do an interview, just let it play out. Like, listen to it, listen to what the guy says. People change. I was a drug addicted heroin addict at Occupy Boston, like organizing the people and handing out communist manifestos in 2010.
and addicted to ding dongs.
I
Totally
changed.
addicted.
You know,
Yeah,
one of the
people do
things that he
change.
said during the interview was that he is constantly searching for basically truth. Like he's constantly changing his mind. That's kind of like how I am. I'm sort of set in my ways now, but
You have to be.
But I always am seeing stuff that I change my mind on. Like always. Like I'm always changing my mind on things. So like if I see like a very convincing argument, then I'll be like, oh, everything that I believed up until now is completely changed. Like maybe I don't believe, like maybe this person's right. So if it's convincing,
We have to
and
be.
he said that he's like that too. So
Yeah, we have to be charitable with people, because exactly to Cameron's point earlier about the infighting, the doxing, the splintering of the right wing, of which I've been guilty certainly in the
Do
past.
we have to be charitable? Because I think that now is the time that we need to be the least charitable and most discerning ever.
Well, I'm not saying to not be discerning, but I am saying, like, if you're having a show and you're bringing a controversial guest on and then you start attacking the hosts like nonstop on Twitter, like, hello, like
No,
show
I'm
some
talking about you
grace.
blocking these people. You should just block.
I usually do. I've got the lightest block. I have 97,000 people blocked on Twitter.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'll
You
pull,
probably
pull
use
it
a
up.
bot for
That's
that.
incredible.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I did it manually.
I barely block.
I don't even know how to block somebody on Twitter.
I don't block anyone. I think because the replies and the replies do more than retweets on Twitter. So
All
even
right.
if it is like a shitty reply, I leave
No,
it.
I don't think Dave meant charitable. I think he means open. Similar to what Vince said. That's right. We have to be open,
Doesn't
and
it give-
myself included. Let's hope for the best, plan for the worst, right?
I thought that it gave you like a list.
Yeah, you
like,
go down to blocked accounts.
blocked
It shows
accounts.
it. Right
It doesn't
there.
show.
It doesn't show you how much. Yeah, how
It doesn't
many.
show, but I mean, like I can scroll and it'll just keep going, literally forever and ever and ever. Where is? I'll do it on stream. ROHAN. No.
Nope.
I'll find.
Can you remember why you blocked these people? I mean, can you
I
go
have no
down
idea.
the
All
list?
97,000 of them.
No, but it would be like things like there was this like tranny named Edward Gorsensky from Charlottesville, and that guy was working with German intelligence. He was in Antifa. And so basically I was just like, if you're following this guy, I don't want you anywhere near me. Block. And I used it.
Wow, that's totally different for the reasons I block people.
I block for that, for
If
like
they
doxing.
offend my vanity at all, lifetime block and ban.
Oh, see, if someone calls me like fat or something like
Oh, no,
that.
that's instant.
doesn't-
Yeah.
No, that doesn't bother me.
But like for reasons like that, I'm like, huh.
All right. Yeah, Rohanian, I will unblock you. Just stop spamming the anti-Dugin stuff. I get it. Other people will get it. They're gonna see the
Yeah,
criticisms.
we asked the questions. You got to watch the full interview.
You got to watch the full interview on Subscribestar. Wignat Supreme sent $10. Ethnostate when? How do you see this working out? When? How do we take back power from the Zionists?
That is the $1 million question, right?
Those are two different questions, but anyway.
One of the criticisms that I've been getting of the show is that we aren't offering actionable solutions. So I would like to move toward that direction on this show. But it's very difficult because we do not know. But like Cameron said, once you try something and it starts to work, you can really get the dominoes to fall quickly.
There are certain things that work. Like, for example, like the Republican Party is completely controlled, in my opinion, by the Zionist lobby. And that level of control does, in fact, penetrate even into the county level. There have been agents that have been in Kootenai County that have attempted to subvert and disrupt what to be honest, it's like 80% boomer Zionist Republicans anyway. But they will attack them anyway if they don't cancel and deplatform the way that they want them to, right? And so something that has been very effective is the precinct strategy, the idea of actually getting good people to run for precinct committeemen. And wherever you live in America, you're in someone's precinct. And about the last time I checked, half of all the precincts in America were empty. People are just not participating at all. And so, Cam, I know, is a big proponent of third party, maybe creating a third party, creating a political PAC, but also depending on where you live, if you don't have a precinct committeeman, get yourself appointed. Go to the meetings, participate, and make your voice
And
heard.
it's free. It's
free.
an hour. It's an hour a month. You can go find. Every county has basically every county, unless you live like in the middle of nowhere. Even in the middle of nowhere, every county has a Republican committee that you can show up to. The meetings are open to everyone. You show up for an hour, and if your precinct is open, they'll appoint you to that precinct, and then you get your friends to fill other precincts, and then you take over the committee, and then you have this is how the left did it. This is the Rocky Mountain heist.
Exactly.
In Colorado.
And then you buy a silo.
And then you buy a missile. Then you buy us, the missile silo in Sprague, Washington. Oh, speaking of Republican Party being controlled, this tweet that you have up on screen talking about Anna Paulina Luna. So this person,
this one right here?
Yeah, that one. This one here, this person got assigned to the JFK files. She was raised as a Messianic Jew, and she's been appointed to, take that to head up the declassification of the JFK files. And I don't know, where that's going to go. I think that the stuff about the Mossad being involved in the assassination of JFK, if you go up to the top of my page and click on replies, I think that a lot of that stuff is probably just right there. Suppose we're not going to hear much about the Mossad being involved if she's heading this up. I think that we're probably going to see that part of it heavily redacted. Speaking on people changing, Roger Stone. We got to get him on the show.
Yes, yeah, I can. We can do that.
I actually tweeted, if you can, let's get him on the show, because I actually tweeted at him when he talked about the JFK assassination, I think it was almost a year ago now. And I said, I read your book. Why didn't your book have anything about
he didn't know.
And he said, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And he released a new version of the book with that in there, and now he's been going off about it.
Yes.
So he probably, legitimately didn't know.
No, I think
so. He's been tweeting about it, so it's kind of
promising stuff.
I would just add briefly on that question, because it's a perfectly fair question, especially when you hear folks like myself blather on and on about Trump's shortfalls and so forth. What can we do? One thing I think is crucial to recognize is that the awareness, not just of Zionism, but I think of the racial issue, the scale of the problems that we face, is viral. It's everywhere. We've talked about this before. This show is evidence of that. What can you do in that process? You can platform these ideas. You can have these conversations. Just by virtue of doing so, you're advancing the awakening process. That is crucial. That's something you can do in your everyday life. That's one thing. The other thing I think that is very important to look at is what the Bitcoin community has done. The Bitcoin community is global. It's got local chapters all over the world. Again, this is something we've talked about before, but how does that happen? It's because you have somebody that's very enthusiastic about that particular topic or that cause, and all of a sudden they create Twitter groups. Those Twitter groups become real-world organizations or local chapters, and eventually that translates into political action. We're at the tip of the spear of a massive turnover of government, of society. I mean, this is where Dugin was correct. This is just the beginning. Things are moving in our direction. And you better believe that if war does escalate in the Middle East, there is no way it's going to be obfuscated or hidden from the public that this is about the Jews. It is. That's all it's about. It has nothing to do with the United States. It has nothing to do with our interests. And now that's very public. It's inescapable. So our cause in this, if you will, this awakening, it's only going to spread from here. Do your part, talk about it, platform these ideas, create local organizations. As I say, right? Create a community, organize that community, and then down the road, repurpose that community to political action. We all have to do our part. And I think in the end, you're going to get a kind of revolutionary environment in which everything can change.
Yeah. Yep. I actually just got a text message last night from this. I mean, he is like the boomerest of boomers. I mean, just imagine the most boomer guy you could possibly imagine. And he used to go to this big Zionist church up here. And they have, done a number on me. They tanked my campaign for school board. But
is it Candlelight?
I don't want to mention names.
I do.
So anyway, he used to go to that church. And he just texted me the other night with this whole diatribe about Israel and the synagogue of Satan. and I'm just like, what happened? And he's like, well, I left. And then I started reading the news. And so
it's happening.
It's happening, and it is accelerating. I mean, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that I would have gotten a text message from that guy, but I did. Yep. And it was in your face. And it's like, wow. The change
and what's the term that the left uses? Cross-sectional or something? I forget the term that they use. But
intersectional, yeah.
Was it intersectional? Yeah, thank you. What's happening, at least from my vantage point, and frankly, you guys would know better than I do because you're more active in social media, but I see the discussions that we have on this show happening in the crypto community. I hear them happening in the so-called manosphere or the red pill community. I hear them happening in Christian circles. I mean, there is a kind of convergence that's very real that is happening. So those of you out there that are sort of despairing I just wouldn't. I think our side in this is on the cusp of mainstream.
Yep.
And once we're mainstream, then all bets are off for the legacy system.
Amen. Yeah, I think it's happening.
We're gonna have to have a new shtick then, guys.
Yeah, we need people. We need people. You know, a lot of people talk in our circles. They say, "Don't go to college." We need people that go to college.
Yeah,
we need people
lawyers.
that become the elite. We need the lawyers. We need the bankers. We need the
foreign
financial
policy.
guys. We need the foreign policy. We need the people to populate the Cato Institute and the so forth. So this is there's a lot of ways that you can get involved. You can get involved politically. You can get involved, if you don't want to put your name out there online, fund the voices that are saying the things that you agree with.
Yes.
So there's a bunch of different ways that you can get involved and actually do stuff. And I think that we do talk about solutions on this show. I sure do on my show, and we have on this show many times. So
Yeah, and there's a lot more where that came from.
right.
And speaking of funding the dissident movement, Reinhardt sent $100.
Big
Thank you
super
for the big
chat.
super
We
chat.
appreciate it.
Right.
He said, "Don't fuck with me about that call-in show. Do it."
Yeah, we'll do it.
Reinhard was often a caller into my old call-in show. So
Yeah, he's a good. I've been seeing him in Zaganel Spaces on Twitter recently. It's pretty cool.
yeah. Thanks, Reinhard. We appreciate it.
Anything over 50 gets the triple salutes.
The triple
salutes. There we go.
Thank you very
Quadruple
much.
salutes. Sorry.
Oh, man. Let's see. The future of warfare from Anonymous is going to be a real-life 3D where its soldiers will wear augmented reality glasses and direct AI-controlled drones and robots. That's why I'm not too big on recruiting everyone for votes. Okay.
Yeah.
You've got a point.
That is, yeah.
The little robot dogs from Boston Dynamics are freaky, man.
So a lot of that stuff's fake, though. A lot of those videos are like not even real.
Not the robot dogs. Those
the
are
robot
real.
dogs.
The robot
well,
dogs
the
are
robot
real.
dogs are the ones that killed Abu
Bagar al-Baghdadi.
He died like a dog.
Died like a dog.
No, the Shane Gillis bit about the what's the cartoon? The literal. Oh my gosh, what's the dog cartoon?
Snoopy?
No, jeez.
Is it a kid's cartoon?
Never mind.
Blue's
Clues? I've already failed.
Bluey.
Blue's Clues?
The dogs that go
Family
in
Guy.
with the freaking guns on their head. Like, anyway, whatever.
You guys are
It
all
doesn't
over the
matter.
place.
Wait,
All right.
I
Rick
don't
and
have
Morty?
the chat up. I don't
Rick
have
and
the
Morty.
chat up.
Carry on.
The Rohanian sent another $10. Okay, I'll send it again. This is to Dave. Okay, if you want a refund on that, we can send that to you. We got that. We read it. We got it. I will unblock you after the show. Muffington sent $5. Are you concerned about the ascension of Tulsi given her Hindu nationalist and Antifa ties? Cameron?
I'm concerned about Tulsi just because she's got paid.
No, I'm not. Regarding Tulsi Gabbard, I'm not. I'm more concerned that she's sort of going to be swallowed by a labyrinth of intelligence agencies that she doesn't understand. I mean, again, this is the issue with Donald Trump, right? Is that he does. I think this is a true statement. He seems to like to appoint people that look good on television. Whether or not they actually know anything about their role or their job, that's another matter to him. I think Tulsi's an intelligent woman, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what she knows about intelligence, okay? So she could potentially be in over her head, and intelligence is not an area to delve into lightly, as we know. That's my concern about her.
Is she single?
No,
she's married.
Plus,
married.
didn't she receive like $100 million from AIPAC anyway?
No, 50,000.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
It was like 50. I can pull up the AIPAC tracker on that.
Yeah,
but
whatever,
It was
it's
about
fine.
57,000.
Poor
I just
Rand
saw it.
Paul. He never could be successful because he has curly hair.
Or not 100 million. Dumb. I thought I was going to say I meant 100,000. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like 100 million.
100
Vince
million.
really
She never
overshot
received
that.
zero. I mean, the
That's true, yeah.
only one that
Ted
received.
Cruz was 1.4 million, right? He's the highest, right?
No, Donald Trump is the highest.
Oh
at
yeah,
230
obviously if you
million.
include like
Hello.
the Adelsons and stuff.
Yeah. I think Ted Cruz might be the highest. Let's see. Robert sent $25. I don't understand. We need to go to Mars to hunker down for at least 100 years as our bones dissolve in dreary wasteland. For what? Also, bleeping nice tie, Dave. Holy cow. With love from Telegram.
Thank you. Thanks, Robert.
I like the
Thank
tie.
you.
I like it
like the
too.
tie. You can go to, I'll give these guys a free commercial. Why not? It's proselytize.
Good luck spelling that.
Proselytize. I can't. Puro.
It's all over, man.
There it is. Proselytize. These guys sell really
That's cool. That's a cool name.
That is.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
a cool play on words name there. That's pretty cool.
I just got this one in the mail. The Vendée Sacred Heart.
Cute,
Very nice.
cute.
Looks a little emo, but
There's Trump.
Trump with some of them. I mean, they're nice ties. So yeah, go to proselytize.
All right, no more free ads. Come on.
Next time, pay me for it. No, whatever. Okay. Chicago Mike sent $10. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, we will. Reinhardt says the Paw Patrol, the actual
Yes,
Paw Patrol,
that was such a
killed
good.
Daddy
Shane Gillis is. I think he's the funniest comedian that's ever existed. Like,
Didn't he move back to the center?
No, I mean, if you see him on Kill Tony, there's no center. There's no.
Good, I'm glad.
Like, there's no. Like, that guy's hilarious. That guy is so funny.
True. We have some super chats from Entropy, which don't pop up on the screen when I press the check button, so I'm just going to read them. Rebecca, have you heard the American Fags? If not, it's super hilarious, worth a play.
I have not.
So I guess I'll text this to you.
Okay.
You can take a listen to
Thanks.
it. Question for Cameron. Do you see the eventual, that was from Cyrus209 for $10. And then this is Jackass Trader for $14.88. Question for Cameron. Do you see the eventual balkanization of the United States sometime in the future? I find it difficult to believe that the U.S. will remain intact considering what's coming. Rebecca, you're killing me. I don't know.
I mean, the U.S. is already balkanized, right? I mean, Vince, Dave, they can tell you that going back to Chicago, right? It's these neighborhoods are demographically segregated, and I think if you look carefully at the history of the United States, you'll see that that's a fairly intact trend, right? But blacks never really integrated with whites. That's sort of a myth. They just resegregated. We've talked about that before. But your question is about the future of the United States. Look, America is a white country. If we do not re-emerge as the dominant majority ethnic group, there will be no America again, period. It's interesting. I'm not going to reveal their name, but I had a meeting with a very prominent investor who lives down in Argentina. And this is a guy who shares our views, but had basically given up on the United States and decided to become a nomad capitalist. I guess that's what they call some of these folks. And if you have a lot of money, you can move to Manila in the Philippines and live, in the lap of luxury. But you're living in somebody else's country. You can do the same thing in Singapore. You can do the same thing in Argentina. And his view was, this is the future for white people, that we're basically a shrinking percentage of the world, that is a secular trend that cannot reverse. We're going to lose the United States. We're going to lose Western Europe. And so all we can do is find these little islets around the world and live in good communities that are gated and send our kids to private schools, sort of like the elite student in Latin America. Look, if that's the future, we've lost. And there is no Western civilization. There is no future for our families, our children, our religion. It's dead. We have to fight. We have to reclaim what is ours. And I think the coming crisis is the opportunity to do that. And remember something else, too. Donald Trump, again, he comes up again and again in these discussions, but Donald Trump really didn't know what he was getting into in 2015. He really didn't. He didn't have a staff. He didn't really have a strategy. I would argue not much has changed. And look at the tremendous electrifying effect that he has had by sort of stumbling into a lot of these taboo topics that reflect the national identity of the population. In other words, there is a tremendous power there in this ethnocentric national identity of countries. I've seen it all over the world. I've seen it in Western Europe. I see it in Germany, which is a country that's lost 2 major wars and has been decimated by propaganda for half a century. Nationalism is the most powerful political force there is in the world. That's why censorship wants to take it down. Once that triggers, there's no stopping it. What I'm telling you folks that are listening and watching this program is that this is just the beginning. We're at the early stages of this, and we are going to take our country back. It's going to happen.
Amen. Amen. We got some stuff over on Streamlabs. Anonymous tipped $5. Shout out to Blonde for being one of the best pro-white women activists out there. Unlike grifters Lauren Southern and Lauren Witzke, who's a friend of ours, by the way, who both race mixed and had biracial kids, Blonde is authentic and a true believer. Hail Blonde. Hey.
Okay.
We love Lauren Witzke.
Lauren Witzke.
Lauren Witzke's awesome. And her husband's awesome, too.
I believe that the Spanish are white.
Amen.
Listen,
her husband
she's
is not
good
even
people and
is not
and
even fully
he's-
Spanish.
And he's a great guy. So
Yeah, we love Lauren Witzke.
I don't-
Also,
the
in
Lauren
Lauren
Southern thing, kind of agree.
What? Okay, Lauren Southern, the man that she was married to.
I'm not talking about her marriage. I don't care.
This
who
person's
she's
talking about the
married
race
to.
mixing, though.
I know, but she is kind of a grifter, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We okay.
Just want to say that.
I know Lauren. I don't want to dump on her. But in this thing, I should defend her because the man that she procreated with is 1/2 Taiwanese.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Well.
Like, don't we have better targets
Cam's
here?
more Taiwanese than that.
Yeah.
Cam's had more Taiwanese in him than that while he was in the Navy. Come on, Cam. No comeback.
No, he's smiling.
What is there to come back for? I'm racist. I'm racist. It's part of my DEI cred.
Oh, boy. Big Mad Lad sent $5 on Streamlabs. The credit card option for Power Chat is gone now, so I moved over here. Great show, guys. Everyone send tips and super chats to support the show. What do you mean, what did I do? I figured out how to get the thing working.
Why is the credit card...
Oh, I didn't do anything about that.
More on-air production meetings. I swear, you guys.
I got an email from PayPal today. They changed the agreement, but that wasn't even PayPal. That was Google Pay.
Why?
so-
Why are you talking about this?
I'm just saying. He asked the question. Why is it gone? I don't know. I'll look into it. Okay. Big Mad Lad sent another $5. Blonde put her hair up during the Dugin interview. Don't think we didn't notice.
I did. Yeah.
Yes, she did.
I nervously play with my hair. I do that.
We haven't noticed. Forever Renter tipped $25. Love you guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
No, thank you very much. And our last super chat of the evening, I'll have to double check, but it's from To Stepford. Did it trigger? Did it go? Did it not go? Congrats to Vincent from Permaband to getting quote tweeted by Elon himself.
Quite the redemption arc.
That's
now,
right.
if we can get your YouTube channel back.
$50. That's
$50.
triples, quadruple salutes.
Oh yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, we need to get your YouTube back.
We
I
should
mean,
definitely
there's
talk about
such a
the
gold
logistics of that on air right now.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, you
How
guys
many
can't
how many
appeal.
followers did you gain from Elon's retweet?
Actually, not surprisingly, not that many. I think it was like 6K or something like that.
What? That's huge.
That's
Yeah,
still a
but
lot.
it's like-
Not that many,
it's
only
not-
6,000.
I mean, for me, it is.
It's not really that much, but no, actually, it wasn't even that many. It was 58. Now it's like 62 or something. So
I'm
it's
like
4K.
400 away from breaking 20K, so
Yeah.
I need
I'm about to hit
I need
40K,
Dave Riley.
and it's taken forever to get here.
Yeah, so not that many, but there was. But you can look at the profile visits. There was like 100,000 profile visits, and my pinned tweet was I intentionally pinned a tweet for a while there of the Nixon tapes.
Oh yeah.
And
Why didn't you pin a tweet for the show?
I'm just like more. For some reason, I'm just like so obsessed with like waking people up to stuff. So I was just like, let me pin this Nixon tape tweet about him talking about the.
That was an opportunity for shameless self-promotion, and I'm very disappointed
I
in you.
should have.
So we can never be accused of being grifters. We're kind of retarded. We're a little too retarded.
No,
for that.
you guys all need to
about,
grift
like,
more.
red-pilling people. Anyway.
More grifting is the only way that we're going to get to our future goals of having several shows. Are we good over here?
Yeah, we're good. That's all the super chats so far.
Refresh Power Chat. I saw one.
I will refresh Power Chat. It was the Paw Patrol comment, which is.
Was that the last one?
I think that was the last one.
Okay.
We are going to have some exciting stuff for you guys coming up, though. We are going to be opening a store on our website. We'll have eventually T-shirts and all that kind of stuff, but also handmade tallow soap that has no endocrine disruptors. It's got lard in it, so Muslims and Jews can't use it in the shower.
So you can say that, but I can't call it racial cleansing. I can't name this as racial.
No,
Come on, guys.
We're joking. These are all jokes. I didn't even know that we were doing that, by the way. This is news to me.
on-air production meeting.
I was thinking about because like Tucker Carlson has these ALP, and I got these things. Dave brought this. Like Dave got me out of these ALP because like Zin's good, but the pouches are too small, and
the wintergreen
Rogue is good, but the pouches like tear up your mouth for some reason. These Alps are really good. I like them. I got some on the way. In fact, I think I just got a notification they just arrived. I see them advertising on their Twitter account. Is it legal to advertise? Look at Blonde. Is it legal to advertise nicotine pouches?
Yeah, well, we're doing it right now. Alp.com, right? Is it alppouch.com?
Can we make our own? Can we make our own?
We could probably once the sanctions and the war in Russia are lifted, maybe.
Oh my God, I hate you both
No,
so
wait,
much.
This is
get
interesting.
some pouches.
Like you can advertise freaking like drugs that are addictive and will kill you, like prescription drugs, but you can't advertise pouches because they have nicotine in them. It's like so gay.
Welcome to America.
It's so stupid. Anyway.
On that note, if you want to check out the full Dugin interview, please sign up for our Subscribe Star, our Patreon. We really appreciate it. Check us out on Twitter at realbacklash.com. Check out our website, thebacklash.net. Thank you so much for joining us, for your generosity. We really appreciate it. And we will see you in our new time slot next week at 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Pacific Standard Time.
7 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, and you can check me out tomorrow on the Stu Peters Network. So
that'll be great.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.
Have a good night.